Actually, that's funny. I was a stunt farter.
You were a stunt farter?
Mm-hmm. For one of my jobs, I got paid to be a stunt farter.
See, we're starting off the podcast episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn off this third mic so that it's just you and I. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode Conservatish, number 20. Good God, number 26.
Wow.
Yeah. People are actually paying to hear us right now.
It's getting
Isn't that great?
older.
I know. Patreon.com/conservatish. Welcome to the episode. Our wonderful guest. I'm so fucking happy to have you on. Is Becca. Becca Zebrana Bastard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's her band name.
That's my stage name.
That's your Prince name.
My Prince name.
Yeah. It's not your government name.
Zebrana Bastard.
Yes.
And then my friends call me Becca.
So that's your what would you call your music? Metal?
My current band is we're metal. We're like doomy metal.
Okay, like a Neurosis type of thing?
A little bit. Like, it's like Acid Bath meets Black Sabbath meets Kylisa meets High on Fire. Kind of somewhere in all of that.
Okay. All right. I've heard of Caius, not Kylisa. I think I've heard of High on Fire, but
they're all really amazing
I like
bands.
that band name, or that band t-shirt, that Richard Pryor, High on Fire. The t-shirt is like Richard Pryor because he set himself on fire while he was high. Oh,
well, that sounds like a great thing to do, I guess.
What do you like about the metal that you make?
I like that it's finally, like I'm very visionary. Like, right now we suck. We're, like, really bad.
Oh,
right
that's
now.
fun.
But
don't be honest. What do you do? You're being recorded right now.
It's okay. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. We've been a band for, like, a year and a half. We just got a drummer maybe 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, she's taking lessons. We're all, like, it's kind of like my first band for all of us, even though everyone except for our drummer are seasoned musicians. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time for all of us, so it's like my first band. Okay,
so, like an easy bake oven type of, like, everybody's like,
yeah,
My Little Pony. Like, do you actually? You should go on stage and brush a My Little Pony's hair.
Oh yeah,
that'd be the metalest thing.
So metal.
Yeah, that's so fucking metal.
Got like My Little Pony with King Diamond makeup.
Yes. Have you ever heard of what's that goddamn band? I went and saw Marduk. Have you ever heard of Marduk?
I actually have heard of Marduk.
Yeah, they're very Satan-y. They're so serious about it though that it's super funny.
Wait a minute, are they the ones that smell like blood, like they collect like dead animals on the road?
I don't know, but I know that they're very serious. We are Marduk, where we worship Satan. It's the funniest thing in the world. That might
be the one. Well, because I know there's a metal band and they're actually really fucking good, but it might be Marduk, it might be somebody else. I don't remember, but they collect roadkill and they don't shower. So
like you do,
like you're on tour. And you already smell bad because you're on tour. And then they also have all these dead animals they've collected along the road. So when they show up, they smell and reek of death.
I guarantee. Here's the great thing about females, though, is that those men will fuck. There's no way I'm touching a broad. I will bring like a fire hose, and I will.
Those are dudes. Those are
That's what I'm saying. Oh. God bless women that women will have sex with them. Yeah. I guarantee.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's like some hardcore Satanists that are like, I get turned on by death. I love the smell of death. They're like, I just
love that women are that way. You know, they're good
blood
people.
For you.
Oh yeah, maybe they throw it in like a pile, like you pitch in.
Here's my tampon collection.
Right,
Enjoy.
Or maybe it's like a key party, but like a tampon party where like you have a bowl filled with. And then you have to sniff out whose pussy matches the tampon.
It's the tampon. What is it? Tampon Roadkill Blood Orgy.
There you go.
That's my new band.
That's your new band.
That's my new band.
What's the name of your new band? Your real new band?
My real new band has nothing to do with blood orgies.
For now. The night is young.
Or Roadkill. It's called Some of Our Scars. SUM.
So the the sum of our scars.
Like summation.
I like that. Yeah. And so you guys met a year and a half ago. Or no, you met a long time.
Actually, it's kind of funny that my guitar player, Sam, him and I went way back, and I didn't know we went way back because we went back to our partying years. And so we hung out, and our bands played together, and he actually played in my favorite metal band, or grindcore band, which is, Meatbird. So
I love that goddamn name, Meatbird.
Yes,
and that's so wonderful.
Yeah, so Meatbird was my favorite grindcore band in all of Washington State, and I didn't realize that. He's like, we ran into each other at a practice pad when I was trying out for this all girl band, and he was playing with this other band he's trying out with. And then I was like, I'm really looking for a band. He's like, we should be in a band together. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try out for this other band, and then I'll let you know. And that one fell through. And so we're hanging out, and we start playing. I'm like, you really slay at guitar. And then he never said what band he used to be in, just that we'd play together. And then one day he's like, he had mentioned, with my old band Meatbird. And I was like, wait a minute.
The Meatbird? You are a part of the
Yeah,
Meatbird?
I was like, you were in Meatbird? Are you fucking shitting me? I'm like, so this whole time I'm in a band with a member from one of my favorite bands that I didn't know because he was trying out on heroin and I was all fucked up on alcohol and whatever drugs seemed interesting at the time. So, I had no idea. So apparently we've known each other for pretty close to a decade.
That's awesome.
But we're just now getting to know each other.
Did he know you? Because you knew of
our band's
the fantabulous Meatbird.
He played my birthday party.
What was your old band name?
Bastard Child.
Okay, Bastard Child.
Yeah.
Now, where did Zebrana Bastard come from that? Was it before that or was it after?
Well, I've been Zebrana Bastard since, I want to say 2003.
Okay. So you're a 73 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, now I'm like 92,000.
Yes, perfect.
92,000, like Methuselah, but older, and it's okay.
Same hairstyle.
Yeah, it looked great.
How old were you when you first started playing music?
14?
Awesome.
No, 7.
Ooh, that's a big difference. 14 and 7.
I keep thinking, like, the first time I had an instrument in my hands was like 3.
I'm sure, right.
So, I played drums when I was 3.
Okay.
Like, my uncle was a drummer, and I would, like, sit in his lap and, like, bang on drums. He was the one that got me into music.
Very cool.
So, but I had my first keyboard when I was 7, and I've been writing music, like, forever. I mean, like, even when I was little, I would, like, hear songs, and I would make up my own words to songs that were on the radio, and I was, like, that kid that my ear was, like, right next to the speaker, trying to understand every lyric of every song that came on the radio, and I would sit there with a pad and paper and write down all the words, like, I just loved music. But I had my first official band when I was 14. We were a Christian punk rock band called Stereotyped.
Okay, let's just pause it real quick. And process the information that just came through. I gotta say, that is such... I love the fact that it's Christian punk, but that's the worst band name.
Thanks. That was my idea.
I'm sure I've thought of worse ones.
I was 14.
No, I know. That's what I'm not making fun of you. Just your 14-year-old you.
Oh, no,
it was
please.
so. Oh, God bless that name. What did you do?
I still have the tape somewhere. I played bass and I sang, unless our bass player actually showed up.
Right.
And then I just sang. But yeah, I actually have a tape somewhere of us recording ourselves playing.
What was the corniest song name that you had?
Oh, God. I don't even...
Do you remember?
I don't.
Was your bass shaped like a cross? So you were like...
No? It was just a shitty little PV.
Okay. All right.
Or was it Cruise? I think it was a Cruise, which is like a Samick wannabe.
I've never even heard of a Cruise.
Yeah, it's just some...
You ever heard of the cigarette
Mexican
named Revenge?
The cigarette?
There's a cigarette brand named Revenge.
Now I want to start smoking again just to try that.
I'm telling you right now, it's the most... So there's GPCs, which are already real death and really shitty. Yeah. And then there's USA Gold underneath there. Ugh. Okay. And then all the way down at the bottom next to nothing, next to picking up twine and like rubbing it into your face is Revenge. I only smoked it once. My younger brother Will, he had it.
You buy Revenge, so when someone's bumming a cigarette off you and you're sick of it, you're like, right. I'm gonna get my revenge. You're like, here, have one of these.
Did you ever? So you're making me think of cigarettes again. But like, did you ever but when you bummed, there was somebody you're on desperate mode. You're like, I need a fucking cigarette now, and all of a sudden the only person left is someone who rolls their own.
That's okay. I used to roll my own.
No, but see, I didn't roll my own, and so he licked it with his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it because I needed a cigarette, but like, there's that feeling of like,
well, wait a minute.
This is a desperation I was not spiritually prepared for.
Didn't you say that you used to drink with bums under bridges or something?
Sure.
Did you not share off the same bottle?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that was healthy. Of course that wasn't healthy. But I don't want to suck some other dude's spit. I mean, come on now. I'm not saying, well, because I used to do gross things, I will now continue to do gross things forever. No, I'm just saying both of them are filthy. I'm still a fucking dirtbag either way. But
like, well,
so your Christian band. Now, what was this Christian band about? You grew up like loving the Lord, and so you just needed to sing? What was it? I mean, obviously you needed to sing either way.
I needed to sing, but... No, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and I grew up very, like, devout religious girl, and, you know, a brainwashed religious girl, or whatever you want to call it, but...
In Washington?
In Oregon.
Oh, in Oregon.
In Oregon. I was born in Tacoma. I moved to Salem, Oregon when I was 5 or so, and then I spent my school years there, and I moved back to Washington. So the Northwest, I've probably lived in both places equally. They're both home, so the Northwest is my home.
Yeah, I spent a few years in Portland. I love Portland to death. I absolutely love Portland.
I used to love Portland, but
it's
now
too Californicated now.
It's not even Californicated. It's like, people are like, hey, there's weird people in Portland. I'm going to move to Portland so I can be extra weird. Now let's up the weirdness.
Yeah.
Let's up the weirdness.
Right.
Let's up the weirdness. It's like, dude, just fucking be yourself. That's all anybody in Portland was doing.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to move somewhere to be exceptionally weird. Like, you can just be exceptionally weird wherever you're at. Mm-hmm. And then if you just it'll be cool.
That's what's so weird, is that these people who are like overtly weird, they don't want any consequences. What's punk rock about that? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it be more punk rock if you're so weird to be weird where it's not socially acceptable? Not socially acceptable like violence, but I mean like, everybody can walk around with weird hair now. Everybody can walk around with tattoos. You know what I mean? Like, what's punk rock if you're like, no, I want to be anti-system, but I want you to like me. Fuck you. It's supposed to be anti-system, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, all these punk rock kids are like, I'm weird, but I want to be with other weirdos. Like, no, don't you? Isn't there something cool about being the weird guy?
I was so isolated. You know what the thing is like, when I was growing up, I wasn't the weird girl. I wasn't trying to be the weird girl.
Sure.
I just happened to be fucking strange.
Right.
And I never cared what anybody thought. I just wore what I wanted to wear, or I did what I wanted to do. I mean, like, I remember I was never looking for a group of people that were as weird as I was, because I didn't realize that there was anything off about who I was. Like, like, for instance, this guy came over when I wasn't really realizing that I was reaching the dating age, but the guys were realizing I was reaching the dating age.
That's so weird. That happens opposite normally.
Yeah.
Normally, like, the girls are, like, way more mature, and we're just like, oh, gee, I hope something happens to me.
Yeah. But I think I was 13, and I was in the backyard making mud pies. And this guy came over.
Oh, yeah. That's dating material right there.
Yeah.
Mud pies.
This guy came over to see if I was home and asked me out to a movie. And my grandma comes out, and I'm, like, caked in mud, just sitting there. I was like 5'10", like 5'9", 5'10", like an inch shorter than I am now, and just like caked in mud. I'm like putting little daisies and little. Oh, dude, I got really creative with it. I loved making mud pies.
Are you Nell? Do you remember Nell? The movie?
Never saw that.
All right. Well, that was funny to one person out there.
But my grandma's like, honey, there's a boy to see you, and I'm like, okay, and she's like, well, do you want to get cleaned up first? I'm like, what? She's like, well, you're making mud pies. And I'm like, I know. She's like, well, he's here to ask you something. And I'm like, so send him back. Like, it didn't even register in my mind that what I was doing was maybe childish,
antisocial,
or might set up me as strange. You know? Right. And so she did. He came out the backyard, and I think he was a little surprised too. But I mean, I don't know. I'd probably still make mud pies if I had time.
I understand.
I mean, like, I just
it's a hard life being an adult, because you have a schedule you can't fit mud pies in.
Right. But I don't have to move to Portland to make mud pies. This is actually the point I'm getting.
I think that's the name of this fucking of this podcast so far. I don't have to move to Portland to make mud pies.
No, I
the
don't.
Zebrana Bastard story. So you grew up. When did okay. Now, were you straight edge, or were you just Christian?
I was just Christian. I never got into the straight edge movement. I didn't get it. But I don't get most, like...
movements.
Yeah, I don't get like, this is my label and this is what I'm going to be. Like, even like, I guess I was punk rock, you know, but I never saw myself as punk rock. And it's, my fiance's always like, he's like, salute, you know, when he sees people with mohawks. And I'm like, I remember when you had a fucking mohawk, so shut the fuck up, you know. But like,
he's doing that to mock them.
Yeah, he's all salute, you know, and he'll put his little hands up like it's a mohawk. I'm always laughing. And, you know, he's very like, oh, that was youth, you know, and I'm still kind of, I guess, a crusty punk at heart. Because I'm like, you're so disgusting. And I'm like, well, honey, you can take the girl out of the gutter, but you can't take the gutter out of the girl. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm gross.
So how old are you?
I am 35.
And how old is he?
He's 34.
Okay. So yeah, you guys you're not crusty age though. No. I mean, you can't, I guess crusty comes in all shapes and sizes.
Well, we were both crusty street punks when we were kids. And that's how we met, you know? Because we've been friends since we were like 14.
Okay, now when did you make the transition from I'm in a Christian band to street punk? And how did that happen? Or was it the same time?
Well, no, that would be funny.
You could be on the street.
I'm in fact, Christian actually, gutter punk
to be super Christian, you would probably, you know, wash other people's feet. Negative. No, you would wash people's feet and hang out with prostitutes, dude. I mean, fucking.
That is true.
Technically,
that is true.
All right, continue. What did this strange occurrence happen?
I don't know. I think. Well, I took the Bible literally, you know, and like we had these nights at the church I went to called Ask the Pastor. It was like the first Sunday night of every month. So you have a very inquisitive, intelligent little girl. Mud pie girl that's asking these thought-provoking questions that stumps the pastor every night. Like it was to the point to where like I would have this question because I read my Bible. Sure. You know, and I think like they tell you to read the Bible, but I don't think they expect you to, not at like 8, 9 years old. Right. But like I read the shit out of my Bible and I'd be all raising my hand and I'd have this question and it would get to the point where the pastor would like, he'd look at me nervously and they'd look at everybody because does anyone who hasn't asked a question this evening have a question? Right. And everybody's like, but she has good questions. Right. But my questions would provoke some other like deep questions that are like questions that could, I don't know, make people question their faith perhaps. Right. You know, because, I mean, I did the whole, you know, because they said the Bible's literal. You know, you take it literally, you take it face value. So there was like, I think the parable, I don't know if it's Daniel and the fleece, but it's like, he had this fleece, and he wanted God to show him something. So it was like,
you mean God, like the Columbia sweater?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm sure they had that in Bible times.
Daniel had this pullover.
Yeah.
No, what was it?
But it was
a sheep?
Like, yeah. So he had like fleece from a sheep, and it was he wanted God to prove to him that he existed. So he was like, okay, God, you know, if you really exist, I'm going to put this fleece out, and the dew covers the ground every night, and I want the dew to cover the ground and the fleece to be dry, you know, because that's just not going to happen, you know, and it happens. And so God grants his request to prove, because I guess like God wanted him to do something. I don't remember. I'm very far away from the Bible knowledge I used to have. Right. But, so he wakes up and, you know, the ground is wet with dew and the fleece is dry. So, but that's not good enough for him. So he's like, okay, God, you know, I trust that you're trying to tell me something here, but I really want to hear you out. So this time I want the fleece to be sopping wet and the ground to be dry. Right. And of course, you know, God's like, sure, dude, I'm real. I want you to do my thing. So, you know, I really took things literal like that. So I would be like, well, if, you know, God tested all these people in the Bible and everything else, you know, well, I want to test. I want to believe. I'm like, I have this really shitty life and I want to know, like, why do I have this shitty life? They're like, I have the patience of Job. And, you know, so I would do things like that, like the fleece and, you know, like leave little like trinkets and stuff on my what is it, windowsill, you know, and it'd be like, you know, let this be engulfed in flames or, you know, something, you know, I wanted a miracle. I wanted something legitimate that I could hold on to beyond just having faith, you know, or like I wanted to understand how is it that, you know, incest is wrong, but we all came from Adam and Eve, you know?
Right, I mean,
like,
right.
Like there was a lot.
And why does it feel so good? No,
Whoa, you said that, not me.
You chose to come on this podcast. You know the fucking jokes I make.
Oh, I know.
But no, okay. I felt that way when I was 9. I remember thinking, okay, because I grew up in a church as well, Upper Room Christian Church, and this was in Long Island, and we were super Christian. We didn't even celebrate Halloween. We celebrated Elohim. Did you ever hear of Elohim?
No, but we had harvest parties.
There you go. Ew, that made me pucker. No, okay, so yeah, this was like they were scared of the devil of Halloween, but you could dress up like, the lion or the whale or Jonah or something, whatever. But and then there was some stuff like we would live out of like the church pantry, right? Not live out of it all the way, but we would go to the church pantry and because that's donated food or whatever. And my parents would work extremely hard for this church because they loved God and they wanted to serve, and they were told that's the way to do it. And then it turns out that the pastor, at least one pastor, is doing some shady prostitute stuff on the side with a lot of that money.
Yeah.
And, that wasn't the only reason, but many things kind of sent my family in a lot of different crazy. I don't remember if it was drugs or prostitution, but it was something bad.
Something bad.
And something not so preachery. Now, granted, it wasn't wholesale condemnation out the gate. Not even from my family. Both sides of both of my parents went super into like, all right, this God. Why am I not cussing? I'm sorry, I forgot where I was. Fuck this God shit. But then they they eventually, over the past 15, 20 years, they eventually have come around to their own version of a God and their own version. Like, it's a wonderful thing to witness.
Yeah.
But I came from that, and I remember being 9 years old, and my life wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. But I remember thinking, like, okay, if you're there, send me a sign, and nothing fucking happened. Maybe a plane went by, and so that's where I, like, kind of was like, okay, maybe, but nothing really happened. And so I remember thinking that, and I'm, 9 years old. You know what I mean? And atheists seem to, like, or atheism seemed to kind of work its way into my life from there. Anyway, what was your journey like?
Well, I had a lot. I mean, granted, like I said, I grew up Pentecostal, so there was like a lot of the speaking in tongues, and I had this crazy, like seriously crazy nanny that lived with us, and like when I started to, like, I go visit my mom, and my mom was Wiccan or pagan, and so she was always trying. I'd see her like 1 week out of a year, if I was lucky,
right,
and. So
because she was pagan or because...
Well, that was part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is a long story, but we were homeless, and Grandma's like, you kids can't be living in a car. I'll take the kids till you get on your feet.
Right.
Which turned into being kidnapped by people and a whole bunch of crazy things that happened when I was little.
Okay.
But my mom finally got on her feet.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got on her feet and she came back for us, she also was like... Well, I'm no longer Christian.
I see.
I'm actually Wiccan. And by the way, I'm bisexual.
Right.
And my grandma was like, you're a fucking sinner and you're not getting these kids.
Okay. That makes sense.
And, and my mom didn't exactly fight for us either, So I think she was a young mom. I mean, she had me at 13. So I've grown to a point now, especially since I got sober, where I can appreciate my mother for who she is. Absolutely. And that she did the best that she could.
Totally.
And, I wouldn't be the woman I am today if it wasn't for my mom.
Right.
But like, so it's like, okay. So that was a huge thing with Grandma was that, oh, you're living a life of sin and you're going to hell and there's no fucking way you're going to have these kids now.
Okay.
So there was that. And, but I don't know. I just started to wisen up. I think the smarter you are and the less, I think it goes back to my whole not feeling like I need to affiliate with any group.
Sure.
I made mud pies, so therefore I'm agnostic.
Right.
So
second name of the podcast.
So, there's that. I started to question things, and I had my mom when I was 12. I went to see her, and the whole goth thing, like Hot Topic was just starting to open, and like goth was becoming, like, Marilyn Manson wasn't Marilyn Manson yet as far as the world knew him as, so it wasn't a Manson thing. But my mom was like, there's this really cool, like, she's like, you're an angsty teen. She's like, I think you'd make a really cute goth. So it was like my mom's little doll for a week. She shaved my head and dyed my hair black and bought me all black clothes and sent me home. And my grandma was pissed, and I went to church, and of course all the kids, they were always kind of cruel to me anyway, because I was poor or I was weird, and so it just kind of isolated me more, and I was getting really frustrated, and my youth pastor was like, well, why are you here? And I said, well, I'm holding my place. He goes, well, if you're just here to hold your place, maybe you shouldn't be.
Holding your place, what does that mean?
Well, like, because I was supposed to be there every Sunday and every Wednesday for youth group. I had always been going, you know, for those days that I show up. So I was just doing what
you've always done.
What I've always done. I was holding my place.
Okay.
And he was like, well, if you know that's all you're doing, maybe you shouldn't be here. Which he didn't mean it like that, and he actually felt really bad, like he failed at life, which I don't. I think he was an amazing person.
Sure.
You know, but he was right, and so I went to a different youth group.
Okay.
Which caused problems within the church that I grew up in, and had a meeting with the pastor and my grandmother.
I love how far away we get from love. Isn't it amazing?
Right?
What did the motherfucker say? Love each other, assholes.
Exactly.
And we get so fucking far that even if you went to a new youth group, you can't even do that right.
Yeah, I went to
what
a
bunch
place
of
that
cocksuckers
sang
we
songs and were nice to me, and we played games, and everyone was cool and happy to have me there.
Right.
And I felt like I was a part of something, and that's why I went and switched churches, you know, and I had this whole thing where he was concerned for my soul, and because I was going to a non-denominational church, I'm like, wait, aren't we all following the same Jesus?
Right.
Isn't it all the same?
Right.
You know, so I was like, this is stupid, you know, but I was wearing these black clothes and I was looking like a Satanist. I'm like, I'm not a Satanist. Like, I don't know. These are the clothes my mom put me in. I don't know, you know, so I'm not a fucking Satanist. And they're selfish anyway. Like, that's a whole other ball. Yeah, I don't think I could ever be a Satanist, but
right.
So I was really frustrated, and that just made me, you know, embrace the new church more, which actually happened to be the church where my band was at when I was in Stereotyped when I was 14.
Okay. So you had already picked up a guitar at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I actually started playing upright orchestra bass when I was 12.
Okay, now we're getting real intense. Upright orchestra bass. Now let's break that down for the lays who are listening. I don't just mean the women I fucked. Hey, now let's break that down. So what does that mean? So upright orchestra bass. So how could an upright? Wait. I'm sorry. So you wouldn't play it plucking. You're still
the bow.
Okay.
Orchestra. Yeah, I was doing orchestra from 6th grade to 8th grade.
Fucking nice. Okay, now. So you were playing that. You were playing guitar for a couple years now?
Yeah, I got my first electric bass when I was 14, and I started playing upright bass when I was 12.
Oh, right. You weren't playing guitar. You were playing bass. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, when did you start listening to punk or metal or...
Well, there was... I used to watch on the... What is that? There was that... Praise... Whatever TV...
PAX? It wasn't the Christian one, PAX, right?
There's a Christian TV station that, like, Praise the Lord with TBN. The
wow.
Trinity Broadcasting
wow,
Network.
Okay.
So I used to watch that all the time. And late at night, on the weekends, there was this show called God Rock, because nobody rocks harder than God.
Wow.
And so God Rock was my gateway to punk rock.
Nice.
Because there was a band on
wonderful.
there called Officer Negative and 5 Iron Frenzy.
Okay.
Which was, they're like ska punk. And 5 Iron Frenzy was okay. My sister liked them. But I really loved Officer Negative. There was like these dudes that skateboarded and wore tattered clothes and had patches all over them. They were like so cool. And they're singing they're screaming about God. Like, Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. Jesus loves me. Bible tells me so. And
right.
I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. And my grandma didn't think that it was very appropriate.
Right. You ever heard of Chris Thile? Chris Thile is this amazing mandolin player. I hate his politics, but his mandolin playing, he was an incredible prodigy from like 11, 12 years old. And he has played mandolin he's been on, there's a band called Punch Brothers, there's a band called Nickel Creek, there's a band called, just him. He's played with Yo-Yo Ma and a bunch of incredible stuff, right? He's unbelievable. He was actually the best musical investment I've ever made. I went to Record Man in Redwood City, and it was 2004, I think. And I don't have any money, and I don't have any, job really. So I'm like, I go to Record Man, and just, they had a little CD, listener, and to like test out CDs, and they had all these used CDs, and they had this one that was like in the $1 rack, and I'm like, oh, this looks weird. It says "Not All Who Wander are Lost," and I put it in, and I had never thought I would be into any sort of bluegrass of any kind. It is some of the most beautiful fucking music is on Not All Who Wander Are Lost by Chris Thile. Anyway.
Nice.
And that just totally, best, $1, totally beyond worth it. Now, he said one thing, because he was this bluegrass kind of prodigy, right? But he also loved, I mean, he literally plays sonatas on fucking, on banjo, on mandolin. Like, he's fucking amazing.
That's great.
And he always talks about, one of the things he talked about in one of his interviews, he was like, you know, I'd be the only kid who would like be like, woo, you guys really got that fucking, that, you know, that arpeggio down. Like, he'd be like super excited in the, while everyone else is like, shh, you know, it's like, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to, and that's how I feel sometimes when I'm like, even at the Punch Brothers show I was at, where I'm like fucking hooping and hollering and everybody's just like, I listen to NPR, excuse me, sir. You know what I mean? Where like, same thing goes with Jesus. Like, if you're legit into God or love or whatever, like, shouldn't that be a celebratory event? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, why are we all humming and drumming and no, you have to fit in this box? It's like, motherfucker, let me love people. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that what we're doing here?
There's the whole thing. Like, I got so much backlash from the church growing up because I was different.
Right.
That it actually wound up, they are the ones that pushed me away from the church. Mm-hmm. You know, because I totally loved Jesus. I totally loved, you know, my God, and I was completely just into it. And then it's like everywhere I went, there was no love.
Right.
There was no love from my grandmother. There was, you know, I mean, I remember my grandfather crying after church one day, you know, and I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, do you know how embarrassing it is when everyone asks if that's your grandson or your granddaughter? And I just looked at him and I said, can't you just love me for me?
Right.
Like, really?
Right. One thing, I haven't known you very well, but you do seem like the type of person who's legit ass weird, not just like putting it on. So like, if that's the case, like, maybe I guess they were doing the best they could with what they had. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But that just sucks.
Oh,
like, as far as especially love and an example of what God or a universe or a higher power might be, that just sucks balls.
Well, there's actually one preacher, I don't remember his name, but I started sending these videos to my grandma because I was trying to explain to her, because I believe in the power of the universe. You know, it's not, I don't go around going, hey, the universe, bro, it's gonna fucking just hug you and you are one with the, you know, whatever. Right. I believe what I believe. You believe what you believe.
Right.
Who the fuck cares?
Right.
You know, it makes me happy.
Sure.
And that's enough.
Right.
You know, and so I found this preacher that was talking, his whole premise of all his messages are the love of God.
Right.
It's love. Every sermon he does, it's about love.
Right.
How to love yourself more, how to love God more, how to love your brother more, how to love your sister more, and how to just spread love.
Right.
And he even goes into how, you know, it doesn't matter if you call it Jesus or if you call it Allah or if you call it this or that. Ooh. It's all love. You know, and you know, and he teaches from the Bible, but he teaches the lessons of love from the Bible, and that's all he focuses on. So I would send this to my grandma, and I'm like, I would watch like his sermons, and I'd be like, 100%, I agree with this.
Right.
So could you please stop crying about me going to hell? You know, like I am on board 100%, and I really think you should listen to this because this is really what it's about.
And that's what I talked about the whole ISIS thing, and it's not a, I mean, again, I'm no fucking political pundit, but the reality is that when fear is a motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And small God shit makes us much more afraid. And when you have a small ass God and you have to make some sort of a middleman between you and God, or when you have to like put a label on the universe or whatever the hell, it makes it weird. People can't fit. We're not allowed to have everybody in the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bowl. Like, we're not allowed to have everybody at the home at the dinner table. We're not allowed to, you know, conversate. Same thing goes with the fucking, you know, not to make anything political in here, but like when with the right or the left, once it becomes, this is my religion, social justice is my religion, then once you have that immutable word of whatever the hell it is, and this is now quote unquote sacred, then not everybody can come to the table. You know what I mean? Not everybody on the left, not everybody on the right. You know, I just have me and my people, and let's shorten the love. Shorten the love, you know?
We need a village to rape and pillage. That's really what it comes down to.
All right, where'd you get it from? Where is that from?
Well, think about the Crusades.
No, I mean with the saying.
Oh, no, that's just me. Like, we need a village to rape and...
Zebrana Bastard, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we need a village to rape and pillage. It's, you know, you're not comfortable with yourself. You're not comfortable with your surroundings. You have to be right. And you have to be right so much that in order to show people how right you are, you're going to beat them into submission.
Of course.
And it's horrible. It's like, fuck you. You know, like...
When I think part of the solution to that, like we were talking about it earlier, but like when I'm afraid, you know, I was in this thing earlier today, and I talked about it as well. when I'm insecure about myself, I project that shit on other people, and often it happens. You know, I've had it happen in relationships where I become extra punishing, or I get like a little passive aggressive, or I do a little that, because I'm insecure about myself. When the real fucking reality is nothing has ever been goddamn wrong ever, and I love and I'm deserving of love, and so are you, and we're all in this fucking boat, and it's awesome. Isn't this awesome? Let's just fucking enjoy it. But obviously, no human ego can let that happen for long. But, you know, I think we can at least have an ideal about it, right? Yeah. Rather than the ideal, okay, my security will come from a label. My security will come from a wall. My security will come from a this or from a that. And that's not a political... What I'm saying is the security, we already have everything we already need. Yeah. And that's some God shit, too. Like, real-ass fucking Christians would understand that, like, you know, what's that Louis C.K. joke where he was talking about... you know, God comes back and he's like, the ice caps are melting. Well, yeah, but I needed gas. He's like, why did you need gas? Well, I needed gas to put into my car so I could go faster. He's like, I gave you everything you needed, assholes. Look, there's a fucking moose. You can eat that moose. Look, there's fucking all these vegetables. I gave you everything you need.
No, you can't eat that moose.
Right. You know.
You can't eat that moose because that's murder.
Right.
And just so you know,
I hate that. This is growing. This is a growing thing. The idea that this isn't nature, like even this computer is technically fucking nature because we did it, and we're just nature.
And it's made out of the same atoms and molecules that you're made out of.
But we're special, or we're so special that we're better than everybody, or we're worse than everybody. You know, we're like, fuck you.
You're not
you know
special.
What I mean? Nothing
Nobody's
is
special. I'm not special.
Just enjoy it, kids. Meat tastes fucking great. Podcasts are fun. We need a computer. We need moose. Just fucking relax, kids.
It's totally okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to just be and not be pissed off at other people because they're just trying to be themselves.
Right.
It really is okay. Right. It's really hard to get that across to people, but...
And to ourselves, let's be fair.
Yeah, and to ourselves. So that's why I just live in my own fucking bubble and fuck everybody else, pretty much.
Just you, your band, and your boy, and, you know, your job. Yeah, I get it.
My job's outside of my bubble.
So what do you do for work again?
Oh, I am a grade checker for a dirt company. I'm a construction worker, laborer.
All right.
I'm a woman in the trades.
Nice. So what is that? When did you get into that? Oh, wait a second. You were making fucking mud pies. So you're still doing that shit, aren't you? What the fuck?
Apparently.
You're living the dream.
I was always supposed to be a dirt worker, apparently.
Apparently. So when did you get into it?
When I stopped touring.
Okay.
So the last just over 4 years, I've been working as a union laborer.
Up in Washington. No, in
Washington.
Okay. And what was that first like? I mean, did a piece of you feel like, oh man, I want to be in the dirt, and then you finally got a chance to do it when you put down touring, or was it, oh, someone invited me? Like, what was it?
I needed a job.
Okay.
I needed a job, and I quit touring because I went through a divorce, and I did not know what the fuck to do with myself. Like,
sure.
I spent like a week crying in my dad's trailer, and when my eyes were burning and I couldn't fucking cry anymore, I was like, I stood up and I took a big, deep breath air, I took a breath.
There you go.
Of fucking air, and I was like, this is not going to be my life. I'm not just gonna sit here at my dad's out in the fucking sticks and cry.
Right.
Like, I need a job.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't just that I needed a job, like I needed to take care of myself completely. And I could have went on the road, I could have kept touring, I could have kept doing everything that I had been doing, but like I had already been on the road pretty consistently for about 4 or 5 years, and like my nephews and nieces were growing up, my little brother was growing up, my grandparents were getting grayer, you know, like I was missing out on the people I cared about because I was gone so much, like 3 to 6 months at a time in one, you know, tour stunt. So
was it all with one band, or was it with multiple
no,
bands?
I worked with multiple bands, or I tour, and then when I would come home after working for a band, I would go on the road for myself. Right. So I was always touring.
Right.
And or doing some project that would have me traveling. So when like my divorce pretty much just hit the brakes, hit a full stop. And so I was like, I need to work don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know I'm going to be okay, and I need to work because I need to stay busy. And so the guy that I had been working for the last tour I was on, he had been a union laborer out of the hall that I'm out of now up in Washington. And he was like, this is how you go. This is what you dress. This is what you say. This is what you do. This is what to expect. There's going to be a lot of hoops to jump through,
right.
But you've got it.
Right.
You know, you're already a hard worker. You'll get in. And so I did. And, you know, I had a job. And so I just worked, and I worked through my anger, and I worked through my pain. And I was so confused and lost and just fucked up in the head because my life had been music and art and touring and being creative and everything else like that. And I would get,
and your husband too.
Yeah, and my husband and the life that we had built, you know. And so I would go to work, and my first job, I was working on the 520 bridge and working on the high-rise crew. And we had this screamer of a superintendent. So, you know, you'd be doing what you're supposed to be doing as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And we're like, I'm doing what you told me to do. He goes, oh, get the fuck back to work. And you're like, okay, you know. But you're an apprentice, so you're not allowed to quit.
Right.
So I'd just get, you know, but I was fine because I was angry. I was super angry. I felt bad for that crew because I was so angry all the time. So it's like the more physical labor you gave me, the happier I was because it kept my mind busy. Mm-hmm. So I would spend, 8 to 12 hours a day busting my ass through all of this, and then I would be crying the whole way, just deeply sobbing, driving home to the fucking Oxford house that I lived at, going, I can't believe this is my fucking life. I should be on the road,
What were you more mad at? Yourself? Him?
God, I was just mad at everything.
Okay.
I was so mad at everything. Like, I was... Like, I don't think you've never been married, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so, like, divorce, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It needed to happen, but it's like a weird thing, because, like, it really needed to happen because we were miserable together, and there was no amount of anything that was going to make us work together to fix things, you know? Like, I mean, there was even a point where we went to therapy, like, I think 3 years into our relationship. I think we've only been married, like, a year. And he went to therapy with me, and he was like, he looked at me and he goes, I think you're really brave. He goes, I don't think I would ever want to look inside of myself. And just that really should have tipped me off. Like, like I'm doing everything I can to make my life better and fix my head and fix my broken. And he's like, I don't even want to start, and that was a huge divider.
What was the age difference, if there was one?
6 years. He was 6 years older.
6 years older. Okay.
Yeah, I think
so. Even at that point, he still wasn't. When did you guys get married? How old were you?
I was 24.
Okay, so he was 30, and even then he wasn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking okay.
Yeah.
So only a couple. Did you see flags of that beforehand?
Well, no, because I was wasted. I got sober the last 2 years of our relationship together. We were together for 10 years, 7 years of marriage, 3 years together before we got married.
Right.
So yeah, we were together for a decade, and I was drunk for most of it. We met at a bar, so right. I think there was probably a lot of issues there that I just never saw because I was so drunk, Right. And, when I got sober, I was like, oh, well, we're starting to have problems. But it didn't clue me in that we had always had problems. Right. I was noticing them because I was getting sober.
What was the draw? Like when you first maybe it was just you met at each other at a bar and you drank similarly, but what was the draw besides that to him?
He liked GWAR. I mean,
okay.
All right. I was 21 when we met,
Right.
So,
right.
I was actually dating his coworker at the time, and but he liked GWAR, and I don't know. I had this thing for the quiet guy, like. You get in that whole fixer mode. I learned through therapy I'm a fixer, so you see somebody that seems like they're kind of socially inept, and you see their potential and you want to fix them and help them out, and like
that is not my experience, but I respect those especially women who do.
I've learned that if somebody's a loner and you don't want to be a loner with them, you should just let them be a loner and not try to fix them.
Right. But that's,
you shouldn't try to fix anybody.
I think a piece of that, I got into a relationship at 21. I've talked about it on this podcast, but luckily it only lasted a year.
Yeah.
The fact that I could not imagine. I mean, I'm sure part of that was the booze, but like I cannot imagine that relationship lasting 10 fucking years.
Right.
God bless you. Holy shit.
It's 21 to 31, yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you were, during that time before you got sober, would you have issues, like bad issues together, or
we had but I think like,
or maybe with each other?
Looking back, I really think like it was really easy to make me feel bad because I was drunk and I was fucking up all the time. Mm-hmm. So like I think when I stopped fucking up as much, he lost his leverage. Is kind of how I feel. Yeah. Because we had an open relationship when we were together. But
I like the rolling of the eyes. That's my. I relate.
Well, because I realized that we weren't really open with each other. We were just fucking other people.
Right.
We weren't being honest with our feelings. We weren't being
open is a weird word for that.
Yeah. Open should mean that you're honest with your emotions and your feelings and with what's going on with you, not just open legs. Mm-hmm. And so I even told him that. I said I don't think. I said I really don't want to do this anymore, because when I sobered up, it got really hard to just be sleeping with other people. Like I did it less and less and less and less and less, and like my I would have fuck buddies that would last 6 months. People were like, dude, that's a fucking relationship. That's
most of mine do. I gotta tell you, even the ones that like I don't have relationships with. It's rare that I have just straight up meaningless sex. Most of them are like we see each other for like 3 months and we have fun, but eventually one of us stops calling the other because we realize like we start seeing somebody else, or we're more excited. But it's always usually like, and I've stayed friends with a lot of people that I've fucked. You know what I mean? Just because it's it doesn't have to be a label necessarily.
Yeah.
But like for you, and maybe I don't know if you've had other experiences with, but often, not often, but multiple times I've had relationships that were open, but part of it, not all of it, but part of it was that I wasn't solid that I actually wanted to be with this person.
Well, I think I had come out, like I always relationship hopped. Like I wouldn't be single for very long. I've had 4 major relationships in my life.
Okay.
And, major, like they lasted longer than a year.
Sure.
So, and I lived with them and actually tried to, build a life or whatever.
Right.
So, but what would happen was like my first relationship ended, and like 3 months later I was in my next long relationship.
Right.
And then like a month later I was in my next really long relationship.
Right.
And then even like I didn't wait long enough between my divorce and hooking up. Oh no, thank you. And I didn't give myself enough time between my divorce and my current relationship either.
Okay.
Like it was a little bit longer of a gap.
Uh-huh.
But it still, like I've never really given myself that time to just kind of like.
Do you feel like it was mostly not bad, but unhealthy? You mean maybe the current one? Did you get into a relationship quickly, or do you just started seeing each other quickly?
Well, my current relationship, we've been friends, like I said, since we were like 14, and we messed around off and on since I was 19. Mm-hmm. But I mean he's very faithful. So if he was with somebody, he pretty much just avoided me. Right. But I'm his dream girl, his childhood sweetheart.
Okay.
And so it's like we would like hook up, but I was
getting high or drunk.
Well, I was getting drunk, or like I'd be with somebody, and so when I would go home and we'd hang out, and he didn't have a girl, he didn't have a girlfriend, he would just kind of put it out of his head that like I was with somebody else because I was home, and so there was like this weird like we're home.
I see.
Because he like lived in Boston for a while, and I've traveled all over the world, and so
I've had that before. So like geographic monogamy, or like once you're near each other, it's
he's
fine.
He's always been faithful. He's like super faithful, and like there's actually only one time I think I've hung out with him since we were teenagers that he actually had a girlfriend, and like we did not do anything, and I.
What about vice versa? Did you ever see him while you were in an open relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But that's
like,
different.
But he would put it out of his head. Like,
I see.
it did bother him because he's like, I'm the other guy, you know, but he didn't, if we were like there were times that like my ex-husband would come to Oregon with me, you know, and I kissed my current with my ex sitting in the bar while we were still married. And he was like, don't fucking do that. He's like, that makes me really uncomfortable. Like, I don't like this, you know?
Right.
And I was drunk as shit. I was like, it's cool. He doesn't care, man. Let's make out. And he's like, I know. Like, this is weird.
Was a piece of you, I'm wondering, because for me, I was talking about it earlier today, too. Sometimes I've been in righteous open relationships, and sometimes I've been in open relationships where I intentionally, in one way or another, sometimes very subtly, sometimes not so subtly, not aggressively, but like rub it in the other person's face in a way. Where was a part of that, as an example, where you kissed that guy, was it to hurt?
No.
Or to make that other guy jealous?
No.
Okay. So it was just you were drunk and
I was
weren't
just
thinking
drunk.
about it.
I wasn't thinking, and it was fine. I mean, like, in my head it was fine. But like when I sobered up, it wasn't. I mean, like, even when I sobered up, I realized that I was having problems because I would go back home and we'd hook up, you know, my current, my fiance, well, he's my fiance now.
Right.
But, you know, like I would go home and we'd hook up and like I would tell him, like we'd wake up in the morning and be like, there's going to come a point where we're just not going to be able to do this anymore. And he'd be like, shh, don't talk about it. You know, just don't.
And the reason why?
Well, it's because we were super attached to each other and we were in denial about it. You know, it's like, there was one thing, like, I realized, it was like, have I really been in love with my best friend all these years? You know, that was like one thing that was really prominent to me because, you know, my ex, he told me that when I went home one time, because, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Travis is my fiance.
Right.
So, Travis was home from Boston and I didn't know. And I went down to Oregon to go hang out with my friends, and my buddy called and he goes, hey, someone's on the phone, wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, because our friends were always like, they always filled us in like, oh yeah, they're over here and they're doing this, like if we were home and the other one wasn't. It was rare we're both home at the same time.
That doesn't happen with fuck buddies, by the way. So there's a big red flag. I mean, a good red flag, but it's a red flag.
Yeah. Well, the whole running joke is that it was obvious to everyone but us. Right. We weren't hiding anything. It was like, oh, you guys were not hiding shit from any of us.
Right.
And
no, fuck buddies don't like, oh, I don't know. And it's a weird little, like, you know, Days of Our Lives games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you know, like he called. I was hanging out at our friend's house and he's like, oh, someone's on the phone, wants to talk to you. And I'm like, hey, and it was Travis. And I'm like, oh, what's up? He's like, are you in Salem? And I'm like, well, obviously if I'm hanging out with so-and-so. And he's like, I'll be right over. I'm like, oh, you're in town. So, you know, cause he'd been out in Boston. And so we wound up hooking up. I was home for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And we hooked up the whole time. And me and my ex-husband, we were still new, like in our first year of being in a relationship together. And he told me, because when we started going through the process of separation, all this honesty and truth came out. And he's like, when you came back from Salem, you were weird. And I was like, I wasn't weird. And he would say that all the time about, you know, the first time I hung out with Travis, this was actually the first time that Travis and I had actually fully slept together, you know, when I was 22, I think, or something like that, or 21 or 22. But Dan was like, you were weird. And I was like, I wasn't weird, you know. And then after this whole divorce thing, or being completely honest with each other, I was like, you're right, I was weird. But the thing is like, you can only be as honest with somebody as you're honest to
yourself.
Yeah. Right? And I didn't realize that I essentially was in love with my best friend.
I always wonder, like, what makes us stay with the people that we stay with for as long as we do. What do you think? Because it can't be just the booze. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe you were just... But, like, what makes us settle the way we do sometimes? Well, is it the fear? Is it the I'm afraid he's not... Travis isn't there for me? Or, like, what do you think it might have been? I don't know. Well... I mean, I'm not a therapist. I
didn't believe in divorce. Like, I really believed... Like, I mean, a lot of the things that were instilled in me as a kid growing up in the church and everything like that were still part of my core values. Sure. And I believe that, You know, because I had been through so many broken home situations growing up, and that I wanted to have like this ideal, like perfect relationship. Like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Marley and Me.
No.
Okay, well.
You wanted to have a relationship with a dog, is what you said.
No. Well, loyal and compassionate and loving and always happy to see you.
Maybe not relationship, just the sex.
No. Absolutely not. You fucking weirdo.
I had to fit in a...
Of course you had to. You had to take it there.
I have to talk about the patterns we have in relationships, and then 2 seconds later, dog sex.
Not into bestiality. I'm good there. Thank you.
So, what was about Marley and Me that makes you feel like that's an ideal?
To me, minus the kids, because I'm a no children whatsoever. You know, I do not want kids.
All right.
And I will never have kids. You know, other than the kid factor for that movie, the relationship between Jennifer Aniston and
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, Owen Wilson. Their relationship and how they go through their lives together, to me, because I'd never had an example of what love should be. I've never had a good example of what a relationship should be like.
But Marley and Me was it?
Interesting. Like, there was something about it, like, they were honest, genuine people, and the way that they loved each other, it was really sweet. It's a great movie. Interesting. Like, it's a really good movie.
I have absolutely prejudged that movie before.
Well, yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was.
What's another example? I mean, because Marley and Me is pretty recent. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So where was another example of that when you were in your 20s?
There wasn't.
No? Okay.
Yeah, until I saw that movie, that was the first time I was like, that's the kind of love I want.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
okay.
I had never had like a good example of a relationship or what a healthy relationship is or anything. Like, so I was like, wow, that would be so cool to have that kind of relationship. And so in my mind's eye was that because everybody was broken and divorced or separated or had a million, boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever. And I was like, okay, so if I get married, no matter what, we're going to work it out. No matter what, we're going to stay together. No matter what, I don't believe in divorce. So no matter what, we're going to make this work.
Wow.
And so when we separated, and finally it came to light, and I was like, I can't hide this from, like, I told my ex, I said, I don't want to hide this from our friends anymore. He goes, well, I was like, you haven't said anything to me. I said, but I can't keep this a secret anymore. Mm-hmm. So I made a post on Facebook that we were separated. Mm-hmm. Well, Travis fucking texted me and called me and is messaging me, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk to you. Because my first thought was he's going to try and, make this weird
sex move?
Like, not sex move specifically. That I was afraid that he was going to be like, well, you can come be with me, and that was not.
I see. Yeah.
What I wanted.
If you wanted to do it, you wanted to do it legit. You didn't want to rebound. Well,
and I wasn't thinking I was just so distraught, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I figured that we'd go through this, separation period. We would work on ourselves.
You hadn't been divorced yet.
Yeah,
okay.
We'd work on ourselves. We'd work on each other. We'd find our issues, and we would eventually make it good.
I see.
Okay. So I worked, and I saw, Travis is trying to get a hold of me and trying to get a hold of me. He's texting me, and I'm ignoring the text. And finally, he calls me, and I'm seeing the phone ringing. Hello? And he goes, are you okay? And I started crying.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not okay. But I do think the nature of our friendship needs to change. And he goes, I agree. I'm not concerned about that right now. Are you okay? And
aw, what a good boy.
He was the only person out of any fuck buddy I had ever had or any guy who had been interested in me.
Right.
He was honestly concerned about my well-being and not like, hey, can I be next in line?
Right.
Which I got a lot of that. Like, sure. Especially like going through the divorce process.
And I'm sure in the Facebook post didn't help with that necessarily.
Well, yeah. Everybody's like, oh, Becca, I know that I'm not there yet. Thanks for the tissue.
I thought it was. I thought I saw a little bit.
Almost not there.
See how good a host I am?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Not gonna make me cry, Peter.
I do what I want.
But no, it was it was my friend. It was my friend from 14. It was my friend that shit's going wrong at home and I've got no place to stay. My couch is available, that kind of thing. It was the roots of our friendship, of what brought us together in the first place, before we were teenagers fucking around, before all that shit.
Right.
It was, this is my friend concerned for my well-being, who's going through a divorce. He had been through a divorce. He had been there. He wanted to know if I was okay, you know, and I wasn't.
Right.
You know, and I mean, like, I had a lot of people contacting me and like, oh, I know you're so heartbroken. I totally feel like you could just fucking read through it. Like, motherfucker, you're just trying to get in my pants. Go fuck yourself. You know, I'm not into this.
Right.
You know, and he came up and like hung out with me. He took me and my friend out to a movie, and you know, he was living in Beaverton at the time, and he would come up, you know,
Beaverton.
Yeah, he'd come up once a month and like just hang out. Like, I was living at Oxford House, and he would just take me out to go do something, you know, just to keep me from eating my head, because he was my friend, you know. And even,
how would he be able, see, I've done it before. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's gotta be a motherfucker. If was he in a relationship at the time?
No.
Okay. So to take care of a friend, that's one thing. To talk to a friend unbiased, that's a whole nother motherfucking ball game. I've done it before. I'm not saying it's impossible, but when you have feelings like that, and to legit ass tuck your balls back and just be like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, let's talk about, oh yeah, of course you love him, yeah, maybe you will get back together. Well,
he truly loves me.
That's what a good boy.
You know, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is he truly loves me, and at the end of the day, he just wants what's best for me, regardless of how he feels. Right. You know, because, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that would be really hard, because I never had an ideal, like, there was no dream boy for me when I was growing up, you know, but I was his dream girl. When he was 17 and we were at a party and he was drunk as shit, and he told me, because I was moving away, and he told me that no matter where I went in this world, no matter what I did, he would find me and we would get married someday. And I told him, shut the fuck up, you're drunk, you know. And he was engaged to his baby's mama at the time, and I was just like, you know, we're all teenagers, you know, whatever. But I was just like, you're so full of shit and you're drunk. He's like, fuck, I'm not drunk. I'm drunk, but I know what the fuck I'm saying. He's like, I love you. And I was like, you're drunk and you're retarded, you know, and especially, you know, that whole story. I mean, I'm watching his ex walk up behind him, and me and our other friends that are there telling him, you need to shut the fuck up because you're wasted. Right. And she knocked him out with a fucking rock, you know, because he turns around and it's like, oh, there she is. It's like, yeah, you're a dumb motherfucker. Like, shut your mouth. But, I mean, that relationship didn't last. And all of our relationships haven't lasted. But there's always been this connection between us that we both just drank away. You know, like, we just drank and it was like, whatever. But apparently there was a lot of times that he'd be like crying on our friend's shoulders, and it's about me. And I didn't, you know. So, you said, if you don't mind me prying a bit, because I just like to do that, and it's a podcast. So it's your show. Do what you want.
What's the? So you said no kids, but it sounds like he does. He has a kid.
Well, I out of respect to him, I'm not going to get in that too much. Okay. My personal opinion is.
But I won't even talk about that side. Do you have okay relationships, or are you allowed to? I don't know.
Well,
I can always cut this out if you want.
No, it's fine. It's my personal opinion is being nice as I can be. The mother of his child wasn't very nice when we were teenagers. Right. And I still don't think she's a very nice person. Sure. And he, despite paying child support and despite trying to do the right thing, he doesn't have a relationship with his son, who just turned 18. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. But if he were to have a relationship with his son, I would be 100% supportive of that decision. Right. And I'm totally okay with it. Right. I don't want any children of my own. I'm too selfish for a child. You know? I mean, and honestly, I mean, he had his son when he was 14. Sure. You know, so it was young kids having kids.
This is my unsolicited, I'm not even going to give you fucking advice. I'm just saying my opinion as a bald podcaster. We need more mudslinging girls. I'm just saying.
More mudslinging
For what it's worth, we need more mud pie girls.
I am a hell of a mudslinger, I tell you what.
No shit, but I don't know. For me, I feel like I have... It's almost like I have a fucking responsibility to, like, as selfish and shitty as I can be. This happened years ago. Before... it's kind of heavy. I don't think she listens anyway. But before one of my last exes, I started realizing, because I used to be a never... I'm not saying you're going to change your mind. For me, this is my experience alone. I used to be a never kid guy. And then something about turning 30, 31, all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I think I want... Fuck. And I could see it happen with one of my exes. And then I realized, like, now... I fucking super ass want kids, and I hate that. I fucking hate that. I do not want to want kids, but I super goddamn fucking want kids, and it's bullshit. It's cute as shit, I know, but I do not fucking want, because it feels like sacrifice. It feels like a level of self-forgetting that I can't even fathom. But I feel like this in my fucking bones, in my belly, in my balls, I just need to create other fucking evil little fucking bald kids that just run around. Like, and not just that, but I'm going to be cursed with like 2 or 3 daughters. That's what I like. I want at least one boy and one girl. But like, son of a bitch, isn't that son of a, like, I don't fucking want kids. It's such bullshit, corny fucking... But it's just you got to pay attention to your bones sometimes. And I'm just sharing that from my experience. Well, and there's something about, as far as, did you ever watch 30 Rock?
No, I'm not a big TV person.
Anyway, one time Alec Baldwin turns to Tina Fey and he's like, we need more Liz Lemons in the world. That's how I kind of feel about when I look at some people who are legit ass people, and I'm like, we need more Liz Lemons in the world.
I've had people tell me that I'm doing the world a horrible disservice by not having children because of the way I see the world. But I mean, like, I got fixed at 21. Like I remember when I was 5. There was a lot of commercials about adoption and feed the children and all that shit was going on in the 80s.
Suzanne Summers.
Yeah, a lot of Suzanne Summers infomercials and all that shit. And I think also, like, I watched my mom go through 3 miscarriages. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she almost lost my sister. Mm-hmm. And somewhere in all of that, I just remember looking up at my mom when I was 5 after seeing this ad on adoption. Right. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to have any babies. Like, if I have a kid, I want to adopt. Mm-hmm. And that's something that stayed with me all my life. And I've had people tell me that I'm doing myself a horrible misservice because I'm not going to go through the gift of motherhood. I'm like, oh, let me see. So you want me to fuck up my body, pass on these fucked up mental genes, and pass on all this abuse and bullshit that I fucking lived through. Right. Because that's what I'm supposed to do. Because that's what my body's
and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying nothing about supposed to.
No, I'm just
even
saying
if you adopt, mudslinging bitches need to. We need fucking mudslingers, goddammit. We're building a fucking arch.
That is the shit that I have, I've dealt with. I mean, like, my grandfather didn't go to my fucking first wedding, and I thought it was because I wasn't getting married in a church. I got married outside in the woods. Mm-hmm. And he told my grandma, because I wrote him this letter, I was so pissed off, and my grandma was like, so Grandpa got your letter, and I was like, I was hoping to get it after we got back from the wedding, so I didn't have to have this conversation. She's like, well, he said that he wasn't mad because he's not coming to the wedding. He's not mad at you because it's outside, not in a church. He's mad because you're not going to give him any great-grandchildren. Right. And so, again, it goes back to that whole, him crying in the car after church, with... Right. Why do you got to be my grandson, not my granddaughter, or whatever?
So I think part of that goes to the idea of, we were talking a little bit about it before, real ass legit love means you don't owe me anything. and I don't know you anything.
Right.
I can be myself and you can be yourself.
Yeah.
And
no expectations.
And maybe that I wouldn't say that it's like, oh, that's an old generation, because we have our own version of fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, older generation wouldn't do that, right? That's a fucked up older
bullshit.
generation thing.
Yeah.
But I also think older generation wouldn't do some of the fucked up stupid shit that we do now. So I think we are all maybe we're evolving. Maybe we're getting better. I think I don't know. I know tons of, when you, I don't know. I don't think it's an age thing. I think maybe, and it makes me feel sad when people go through that type of small God bullshit, you know what I mean? Or that type of small life bullshit. The fact that somebody would be 30 as an example and be thinking like, oh, I don't even want to start to open up. Like, it's fucking late. What are you fucking talking about? And maybe that's just because I had to get sober at 15 years old and start therapy. Yeah. Like, so I'm lucky enough to have been beaten up by life that early. But I also think, like, even dating prospects are fucking slim picking sometimes. Fuck prospects are good, but like dating prospects are fucking slim picking sometimes, because people have, they have a defensiveness and anybody who could believe in this haters idea, the hater, like, oh, I love my haters. Like, no, sometimes you have haters because you're not a good person or you treat people poorly.
I don't know anything about that.
Haters are apparently this construct of like, oh, people are always trying to bring me down, but it's because I'm so real.
I think that people that focus on that or think that they have haters, I think they're just trying to cause their own drama.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
right.
It's like, who's hating on you? Who's persecuting you?
Nobody is. Nobody is. In fact, sometimes people are, but often it really is in reality. Like, if you could take off the you blinders, they're really just saying, hey, we don't like your behavior. Or I wrote a song about it. It's called That's Why You've Got Haters. It's about shitty rappers. It's about rappers who are like, oh, I hate all my haters. It's like, wait a second, maybe you've got haters because you're not a very good rapper. You know what I mean? Like, instead of going like, I'm going to defend me and my, like, you don't give a fuck about art. We can listen. We can hear. That's just math. That's not even taste. You know what I mean?
Why be defensive? I mean, I think that goes back to the whole what you project.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't feel so very good about yourself, or maybe
right.
you don't feel very good about your environment.
That was one of the lines.
And that's what you are seen as your haters. So really, right. you're your own hater.
Well, maybe, but the line I wrote in the song is, and don't get me wrong, there's always a chance that everybody around you is jealous. So I'm being sarcastic. But I think you know what you're about. This is a song to the rapper. But I think you know what you're about. You're just scared the audience can smell it. So you're afraid that we can all smell that you're just in this for the marketing. You're just in this for the money. You're just in this for the bullshit. You don't give a fuck about music at all. And so we all smell it. And so in order to defend yourself against actually changing or looking at yourself in the mirror, you're just going to say, I got haters, man, So, anyway.
Dude, it sounds like horrible music. I could not relate to that.
You've never heard of who's a Little Yachty?
No.
I'm still listening. Well, you said that like a school marm or something.
Like,
oh, fuck yeah, dude!
Like, I'm still like,
dude, New York hip hop all fucking day.
I listen to Brother Lynch Hung.
Okay. You ever heard of Necro?
No. Oh. It sounds vaguely familiar.
He's this Jewish kid from, I think he's from
let
Queens,
me clarify,
the Bronx.
Old Brother Lynch Hung, because I heard one of his newer albums and I couldn't get behind it.
Oh, really? Yeah. I barely listen to any Brother Lynch Hung.
It's more mainstream. I don't know.
Interesting.
I didn't think it was very good.
A dude with those lyrics is mainstream. So Necro is he's not good. His beats on this one album called, what's the name of the album? Gory Days. Great fucking beats, and some of his raps are like entertaining. Some of his songs like this, bitches love to get fucked in the ass, or or one way or another. I'm gonna fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. There's like a lot of
like a Take Off the Blondie song.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
but his beats are pretty legit, and the fact that he's like pretty crazy out there, but like But yeah, that's as close to Brother Lynch Hung anyway. But like, I'll listen to Busta Rhymes, Biggie, any MF Doom, any East Coast, any New York really rap I can get down with.
Yeah, I don't West even know Coast, the difference.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know
West Coast is like Tupac.
I know Tupac
Okay.
was from California because he sings "California Loves to Party," and I can't
Yes.
imagine him being from
Yeah,
New York
he
and singing that.
sings. He sings California.
But
What's that song he sings so nice?
I'm really bad. It doesn't matter what music it is. Like, I love music and I love songs, but I don't know names of people specifically
Right.
or, who sang what. I'm like, oh, I love that song. Like, I mean, for example, I fell in love with like 20 to 30 different songs by this one artist, and one day I realized it was Billy Joel.
Yes.
Like, so there's always
Yes.
like, oh, I love that song. Oh, I love that song too. Oh, I love that song too. And then one day it
The
goes,
motherfucker can write,
ding.
dude. The motherfucker can write.
And then I know it's like, oh, so this is the name that goes, and all these people are, it's the same person singing, Right. Like I said, I like my bubble. It's definitely a bubble.
I was just in New York last weekend, and he had sold out MSG again. That motherfucker can play. He's the king of New York.
Oh, he's
he
been
can
doing
play
like a steady Broadway show or something.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and Bruce Springsteen was doing something too. I wanted to take my best friend. She loves Bruce Springsteen, and I wanted to take her to New York to see it, but every show was sold out. I was like, oh, well, that's not happening.
Right. Billy Joel would be one of those, because I was born in Long Island, and I moved out here when I was about 9. But, my family, everybody from Long Island and even New York, but especially Long Island, it's all Billy Joel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we grew up with, greatest hits 1 and 2 of Billy Joel, Pressure and fucking all these stupid, songs. So I'll always have a beautiful a place in my heart for him. But like Prince, I wasn't able to catch before he died. David Bowie.
Oh, that's a shame. Prince is amazing live.
I was able to catch Bjork. Though.
Oh,
she only comes in.
She didn't die, did she?
No.
Oh, God.
Don't get scared.
I have not seen her live yet. Don't.
I'm just saying she comes around like once every fucking 83 years.
That's like
I saw her in Richmond of all places because she wanted to be like right on this dock. She's a weird girl. I love her to death. Dude, Bjork. Okay, listen. As much of a chauvinist, no, I'm just kidding. But my favorite females: Bjork, Fiona Apple, Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell is one of my ultimate favorites.
Motherfucker, dude. Those girls, especially Fiona, just because she's fucking fine. Like, those girls, anything Bjork could need from me, I would do. Like, I would marry the bitch right fucking now. I don't give a fuck if she's 73. Like, she's not 73.
You could be her swan boy.
Dude, I'd beat her up. Just for the fact of some of the songs she's written and her voice. Absolutely. Now, I was able to see Bjork at that somewhere in like right on the bay, and Mike Patton showed up at the show, and they were literally fucking here to
Mike Patton's like one of my all-time favorite musicians.
So you know Mr. Bungle?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah,
I love Mr. Bungle.
Yay! You're the first. I haven't tested each and every person, but Mr. Bungle, absolutely grew up in Mr. Bungle.
There's that other
Faith No More.
No, that's too obvious.
There's like a Fantomas?
No, there's like a fetish style swing 1920s
feel. I'm not listening to I love you, Mike, but I'm not listening to this.
No, it's he does it with this actress. He does the album with this actress that actually has an incredible singing voice. I'm trying to think. Book of the Month was one of the songs. It's Lovage. That's what it's called.
Interesting.
Lovage is the project.
I know he was doing like this Italian 40s. He's always doing some weird.
Dude, I watched him do this. God, it was incredible. He was in like some huge like opera thing where in the whole time he's got this weird like pencil thin mustache. He's making all these faces and he's all like, and he's singing like belting out like in Italian, like this incredible stuff. And the whole time he's just making love to the camera with these crazy faces. Like, I'm Mike Patton, to do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah, I was just like, dude, you're amazing.
Pretty much. Yeah, Mr. Bungle, that... I can't get into Disco Volante. I don't know why. There's a couple of songs on it, but especially California and the first one and the original are just unfucking believable. Those albums, unfucking believable.
It's crazy.
But Mike Patton was on that album with Bjork. He did that.
Nice.
He did on Medulla, I think the name is the name of the album. The one where she there's only a piano and then everything else is made with sounds from the human body.
Oh wow!
Of like. Rozelle is doing beatboxing. Mike Patton does beatboxing, and otherwise there's like hit on your chest or like like he had weird choirs and stuff. There's that song Oceana, one breath away from Mother Oceania. Okay, that's my singing voice and singing. But anyway, because he was on that album, I saw them play together. So that was like a holy shit. What is this pure Prince thing you went to?
Oh, I saw Prince at Coachella.
Oh fuck!
When he headlined Coachella, I went to see Portishead because Portishead hadn't played a show or put out an album in 10 fucking years,
right?
And I was like, Portishead's playing Coachella. I'm buying tickets, and all my friends are like, I'll see him on tour. I said, she's not going to tour.
No,
I was like, they will not tour. So the last time she played the States, she did the New York PNYC, whatever, or Portishead, New York City. I said
that album.
I said she only played one show. I was like, they are not going to tour. And all my friends are like, oh, they're going to tour. I'm like, it's fucking Portishead. They're not touring. And sure as shit, I was the only one who bought tickets to Coachella. Mm-hmm. They didn't tour. Mm-hmm. And for when they put out their album Third. And it was one of the most incredible live shows I had ever seen in my life. I mean, like you just feel every song rolling. Like I was in tears. It was so beautiful. I was like crying through the whole fucking set. And then Prince was the headliner that night, and
what a lucky ass motherfucker!
It was crazy.
Good gravy.
Because Prince, they shut the power off on his set because he did not stop when he played for 3 hours. He was supposed to play for like an hour and a half.
Yay!
He played for 3 hours, and
because fuck you. That's why. God damn it!
And
he's Prince.
They shut the fucking power off on him, and he's like, "Excuse me." Like his whole diva fucking came out, and there was like a bunch of pissed off fucking shit going on stage, and stage hands running around, all this crazy. And he comes out, and they turn the mic on, and he goes, "No, no, 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 no." He goes, "I don't think you fucking understood what I said. I did not come to play a show. I said, if you want Prince only comes to party." And like he was like, it was so incredible because he was just like, he's like, so if you all want to party. He goes, then this is where the party's at. And, and he was like, you are going to turn these lights back on. You are going to turn this sound back on. And we are going to party.
Right.
And they did exactly what the fuck he wanted because he's motherfucking Prince. And he played for 3 hours. And oh my God, it was like the hits and the not hits and the fucking everything.
And that's what I'm saying. That's another thing.
It was a show.
Prince.
Morris Day was there too.
What a motherfucker.
It was great. It was great.
Were they paying him by the hour? Maybe that's it. Maybe they were just
I
terrified
don't know, but
financially.
I think that if you're gonna fucking
you do what's right. If
you're gonna book somebody who's that notorious,
right.
You're going to eat your fucking fees and your noise ordinance, and you're going to let them be who they are because you're going to have a bad PR on your fucking shit.
And you know how many motherfucking tickets they sold next year because of that. You know what I mean? How they were able to book and all that shit.
Well, that was an incredible year, too, because, I mean, I only bought tickets. I could only afford to buy tickets for Portishead, but the next day was Roger Waters doing The Wall. And I got to hear sound check when I was packing up to leave, which was incredible.
Right.
But, I mean, it's like you're going to boast that you're a big fucking festival and do that kind of shit and bring out the type of talent that you're bringing out. Be prepared, because the kind of, Prince, he was an untouchable, you just you can't fuck with Prince.
And I've said it on this podcast and I'll say it again. I would do sexual things for Prince, Bowie, and Trent Reznor, and Zappa if he was still alive.
All dead, but Reznor.
Right, but I'm saying I'm not saying I would only suck their dick if they were dead. I'm just saying, like on whatever you need, Trent, twiddle the balls, whatever you got, man. I got you because of what you've created. What you got it. Now that was my favorite show I've ever been to, and I've been to 9 Inch Nails 3 times, and I saw them at the oh no, you're not from here. This amphitheater that doesn't even have space to mosh at. We were all standing on amphitheater seats, just staring at this motherfucker for 2 hours. It was so delicious, man.
I saw Reznor with Perfect Circle the first year they toured at the Roseland Theater. Portland. Or not Roseland Theater, it was Portland. Yeah, but it was but it's some big stadium. But I saw that was an incredible show.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. My friend actually got to see him with Bowie.
I heard that on the podcast, and then he left before Bowie played, right?
Right.
That's what he was saying.
Oh, yeah. Fuck that guy.
Because he didn't know who Bowie was. You can't even claim. That's
true.
That's a moment of shame.
I was
you can't even claim that you saw Bowie.
His second worst mistake is besides coming on this show.
Yeah, if I was him, I wouldn't even admit that I had tickets to a Bowie show that I didn't see. That's
Portishead's a big get too. What's your favorite? Would you say that Portishead Prince was probably your favorite show of all time?
It's up there. And
well, how could it be up there?
Well, it's all situational. Portishead, that was incredible.
I see.
It depends on the musician.
Okay.
Because I guess there's like a balance, because I got to see Alice Cooper at Wacken in Germany,
Whoa.
in 2013.
He's big still across the. He's not.
He's still.
Can he still pull
yeah.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He plays the casino circuit. All the older musicians are smart, and they play the casino circuit, and they make a shit ton of money doing it. But I saw Alice Cooper. I was front row, center stage, right at the barricade, in a sea of 80,000 people.
Okay.
Seeing Alice Cooper singing. And Alice Cooper's one of my all-time favorite musicians.
Okay.
So, singing "Hey Stupid" with everybody here, singing "Poison" with everybody here, and I mean, "Feed My Frankenstein," whatever. It's the hits. It's the hits, and like
he was connected to Zappa too, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody was back in the 60s and 70s, but if they were any good, but like it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, and like with that, because I was working at the festival for the artist that I was touring with, and I intentionally never went backstage because I didn't want to ruin the experience, because I've met most of my idols touring, and it if I meet them, it tends to kind of ruin the illusion. And
besides Meatbird guy.
Meatbird
guy.
That's local bands. It's different.
Well, okay, so then let's dish a little bit. So you didn't want. We'll get back to Alice. What's some of the bands? What's some of your idols that you met that are so or bad experiences?
Well, that I don't want to get into it because
Oh no.
It's because I'm in the music world. I'm still in the music world.
All right.
And there's a certain level of professionalism that you have to keep, and so I'm not going to.
Okay.
I will say.
Maybe the story.
I will say that I have made an ass out of myself in front of people, and I am sorry, and I don't drink anymore, and so I'm not a jerk.
This is not an amends. You can't make an amends through the podcast. But so you don't, maybe without any details, what's one of the worst ones?
Well, there was a band that threw a party, and they ran out of beer. Mm-hmm. And when you're a raging alcoholic at a party, you don't want to be at the party that runs out of beer. But you know what, even more so? You don't want to be the girl that won't shut the fuck up about it.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second. So then that idol situation was not the idol messing it up. It was you. Is that what you're saying? Because I thought you were saying that. Oh,
that's what you were going for.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Sorry. My bad.
No.
Well,
whatever decorum you would like, princess. We can keep whatever.
Okay, we're not talking about what did Becca do to fuck up a situation.
No. I mean, unless you'd like to.
We're talking about what they did to fuck up a situation.
I'm saying, what did Mike Patton do?
Fuck, if I had met Mike Patton, my goal is I want to be in a music project so bad with Mike Patton. Yes. That is like, if I could ever, I'm like, I have this really weird, unique voice, and maybe someday Mike might hear it and might think that it would be great for our project.
That's what I feel about Beck, Bjork, or Colin Quinn, or Tina Fey. Those four would probably be mine. Beck,
I would
Bjork,
love to do even one song with Mike Patton, and I don't even care if I'm playing the fucking kazoo, just to be like.
Are you good at the kazoo? Because he probably has he probably has access like that to kazoo players, world-renowned kazoos.
I'm sure he does.
He needs a kazooist like he needs a hole in the head.
And he's very blunt when he thinks a band is shit.
I'm sure. Oh yeah, I heard that Wolf Mother video.
Yeah, that was great. Because who the fuck is this?
Well, he lives around here, son. Why aren't you? I mean, you could come here and play kazoos near his house and see if he. Yeah, I mean, Patton wise, I love Mike, but Mr. Bungle is really where my heart is regarding that stuff, and I feel like what's his name, Trent or Trevor, the other music, like the saxophonist in that band, he was the main writer, and the writing is really what got me with that band. I mean, the singing is incredible as well, but the writing is really what got it for me. Trevor something or other. My brother would be yelling at the.
I think the biggest disheartening thing of meeting people that have really influenced my lives over the years is seeing what a pig they are. You know, I think that
Yep.
that is the big thing. You know,
mean sexually or with booze or
with the
Okay.
the sexual side of it. You know, it's like really you're just looking for a blowjob, and then you see I'm not going to give that to you. You don't really care anymore. You know, or
Even, so when you so you're saying you've had the experience of
well,
going
yeah,
up to
I've met, you know, I've been in situations where I was in, you know, at the after party or the whatever, and you know, really it's like their only interest is to hit on me, and if I am telling them, you know, how profound their music is or what, you know, like how it's really moved me or something like that, really they're just trying to get into my pants. And which you hear about that shit all the time, so it's like whatever. But it is really disheartening because here's this person that's wrote this profound music that's changed your life, and then really they're just like, well, you're gonna suck my dick, you know? And it's like, well, no, well, you can go fuck yourself, you know? And then it's like, oh, so really you're an asshole just like everybody else, you just happen to have really good lyrics. So, you know, not that I thought that would have happened with Alice Cooper, it's just I did not want anything to ruin the show or the illusion, because I've been listening to him since I was 8.
First, I mean, from what I've heard, I think Alice is actually really like fastidious and very like, you know, very like clean cut and very disciplined and very like, you know, like he doesn't.
Well, I don't think it would be like that.
Right.
The guy I was working for at the time, he was like, "Oh, you missed it." Alice was like running around trying to find his belt and this and that. I was like, that's why I wasn't backstage. I didn't want to see him having a clusterfuck trying to find his costumes. I didn't want to see the complications. I wanted to see just the show. Because when you're in the music, when you're doing music long enough, like I can tell, you know, like, okay, those two aren't getting along on stage, you know, or they're having sound issues, or they're, you know, so a lot of the magic for me is lost because I've been on both sides of every aspect of music, from production, promotions, performing, whatever. So it's hard for me to enjoy the magic, and I didn't want that with Alice. You know, I wanted to see the magic. I wanted to see Alice Cooper through the eyes of that 8-year-old that got her first, you know, Hey Stupid tape, you know? So, and that's what I got. So that's great.
Is there a piece of you? So obviously an asshole's an asshole.
Yeah.
And I would hope that I was, as much as I love sex and I love women, that I would, if I was ever the point where I was so famous where people were idolizing me and would come backstage. I'm not trying to defend what they did.
You're such a pig. You totally have women on your dick, dude. You'd be like, "Oh, you want to suck my dick?"
I would at least take it out. But no. So here's the only reason why I'm not defending, but I am saying that you are a rarity when it comes to that.
Oh yeah.
Most women, not most. Let me rephrase that. There have been women who have said, I idolize you, but they are actually trying to suck his dick. So I'm not saying I'm defending him, but I'm saying you are a rarity where you're that rare bird, that mudslinger girl who actually was super down with the music, and you did, you know, that music did change your life.
Yeah.
Where sometimes that's not the case, and sometimes that's just there are women who go backstage who are intentionally trying to lay these dudes. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to, that guy should be able to differentiate and go like, oh, okay, this person is, you know, and once they do get a no, there is a way to, like, you know, take that gracefully instead of being an asshole.
Yeah.
But I can understand trying, you know what I mean? I can understand making a pass because if a lot of women who do come backstage, even if they do say things like, I idolize you, and they may be legit, I idolize you, but they also would like a piece. You know what I mean?
It's not even just that. I mean, there's other things too. Like if you find out how nerdy they really are, or you find out how prissy or prima donna, you know.
Interesting.
I mean, like I worked on this tour, and our drummer was like, he couldn't even go to the bathroom without somebody holding his hand, you know. And when you,
wow.
I mean, pretty much.
Wait, but it was a band that you worked for?
Yeah.
Or is it a band you played with?
No, it's a band I work for. But, I mean, it's like, you're around these grown-ass men, you know, and it's like, y'all just walked into this place for the first time. Mm-hmm. I know where the bathroom is just as much as you know where the bathroom is. You know, it's like, if you really have to pee, why are you going to sit there and be pissed off because you don't know where the bathroom is? Get your fucking ass up.
That's a weird
walk around,
problem.
Look for a fucking door, or go ask the fucking bartender, hey, where's your bathroom?
Why do you think that was? Because they were just infantile, or because they were drunk, or because they were...
I don't think it was drunk. I think you just get to the certain point where you just want people to do for you. I think a lot of musicians...
Oh, I see.
A lot of musicians, I mean, even speaking for myself at the time, I've done a lot of growing up in the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, like, we live on the compassion of our fans. Mm-hmm. That's what carries us. I mean, ultimately.
Patreon.com/conservative.
But we do. I mean,
right.
Our fans toe the line for us.
Right.
When you're just starting out, if you're nobody, it's your fans that feed you, it's your fans that clothe you, it's your fans that house you and help you out when you're on tour. Right. And when you're bigger, it's your fans that buy your albums. It's your fans that, you better fucking love your fans. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, your fans are what carry you.
Right.
So I think that some people, if they've been doing music long enough and they started early enough,
they kind of lose sight of that?
Well, I think that it's like their fans replace their parents.
Okay.
So it gets to this point where they're so used to having people do things for them that they don't exactly do for themselves.
Right.
So it's like even the simple act of asking the bartender for drink tickets is, oh God, I have to ask. It should already just be done for me. Right. Or someone should take me to the bathroom and show me where it is. Like
there's also something to be said. You ever heard of Christina Pasinski, the comedian?
No.
She did a great episode of Joe Rogan recently, and real funny fucking broad. And so on the episode, they talked about how there are a lot of people who have this idea that comedians, all they get to do all day, like it's a dream job. They just tell jokes and then they just sit down and jerk off all day and do nothing. And she's like, yeah, unless you want to work, like unless you want to be one of the greats, you actually do have to treat it like a job. You do have to. So maybe there are a lot of musicians, and I know from my experience in the hip hop world as well as in
there's a lot of lazy motherfuckers.
There's a lot of lazy motherfuckers. There's a lot of people who work a little bit and want a lot of payback for it, and I know that in my nature for sure. Yeah. But and I also know a lot of people who don't work at all, but like are always getting a project ready. I know people who are always marketing, and their product is dog shit. I know a lot of people who their product is great, but they're terrified of marketing, and so instead of risking, they're just gonna lay back and call themselves artists, struggling artists, which is bitch move. There's a lot of weird shit that goes on in this art. Yeah,
you do have to work to struggle. To truly struggle. Struggling isn't nobody's listening to my album because I'm not out there selling it. Struggling is that's that motherfucker that's on the corner trying to sell you his CD, that's playing a million shows, that's fucking all over his fucking Facebook, that's talking to all his fans and still not selling albums. That's struggling. If you just like, oh, I made an album and I'm sitting on my couch getting stoned playing video games and no one's listening to it, well, no shit.
You ever? That's like Alec Baldwin. I'm telling you about this goddamn show. The show, what is it? Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I know you're not a Jerry Seinfeld. I need to check. I'm not a Jerry Seinfeld fan. For sure.
But I will check it out because it sounds interesting.
There was an episode with Alec Baldwin recently where he said, where he talked about, he always thought that there was like a famous committee. The fame committee will come and knock on my door. Sir, I'm Michael Walters from the Famous Committee. We've heard that you're very talented, but you have no idea you have no way to get it out to the world. So we've just come and we're going to let you into, like, we're going to take you on we're going to make you famous because we're part of the Famous Committee. Yeah. That's not how it fucking works. You have to keep putting yourself out there for fucking years. Well, that's what this is. That's what this podcast is. This album is. All this playing of fucking wine bars and fucking jerking off at fucking goddamn playing fucking Little Mermaid over and over. God damn it. You know what I mean? Like, I love you.
It was a great song.
God damn it. It's bullshit.
I love your Disney cover.
I know. I'm incredible at everything. I keep telling these bros. But the problem is that it is a continuous struggle and...
Well, it doesn't stop either.
Right.
Like,
it just
honestly,
moves. It just moves.
The most successful people I've ever met in the industry work their fucking ass off. Mm-hmm. Like, so there was a show that I was on once upon a time. And, everybody that recognizes me off that, they'll be like, so, is he a cool in person as he is on his show? I'm like, yeah, but he also works. And the thing is like...
Wait, well, you gotta share who? What is that? Well... oh, maybe you don't, but...
I signed a contract.
Oh, no!
So...
All right.
You'll have to connect the dots.
Okay.
But,
wait, was that a hint? I'm trying to...
You don't have to look hard.
Okay.
It wasn't Zebrana Bastard because I didn't sign Zebrana Bastard. I just put Becca because they own... The network owns the rights to my appearance, my name, my look, my everything out throughout
son of
the
a
universe.
bitch. We really got to talk about that. But anyway, continue.
So that's why, but I will say he works his ass off. And, everybody that I've met in the industry, in any entertainment industry, when the camera's off, when the stage lights are done, where are they? They're on the computer working on the next project or working on the next show or working on the next thing.
Right.
They're on the phone talking to the next agent, talking to the next person, talking to the next guest. They're always working. It never stops. And, I've had people tell me all my life that I work too hard. I take myself too seriously. I do too much. And it's, I've told people, I was like, can I just do a good job for the sake of doing a good job? Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Can I just... does it really have to bother you that I work as hard as I do? Me working as hard as I do doesn't mean that you have to work as hard as I do. And it doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means that this is the pace I like. Right.
Or this is the pace I'm willing to work at because I want the goal that I want. Yeah. Because that's the other thing is that I do get a great deal of enjoyment. I mean, I was thinking about it. Sometimes I feel more comfortable over the last few months having conversations like this than I do with microphones off. There's sometimes where I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, okay, I just want to go get a pizza and watch Netflix. You know what I mean? But here, doing this, singing, it is the best feeling I've ever felt. It's one of them. It's up there. Yeah. It's a part of many different things in my life. You ever? I'm sure. Here's the way I felt it. They're the words sometimes I put it to it is that, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. You know what I mean? That's kind of the words. It's like, oh, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right here, right now, doing this, creating this, whatever it is. Well, I feel that in spiritual ways, and I feel that, you know what I mean? And not just ethereally, but literally. Sometimes I'm creating something, at the studio or something, and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I have no reason to feel guilty at all, because I love guilt, you know what I mean? But this is, all of the guilt is gone, it's out the window, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right here in this moment, you know?
Yeah. No, it's... Definitely when you're creative, I mean, I'm sure you're not, it would be different if you were sitting here wishing that you were at work waiting tables, Right. There's something about that forward momentum. There's something about that creative spark that you're connecting with the world around you. You're connecting with everything and it feels right. I know anything I do that if it touches with my creative nature, I feel like I should just be doing that all the time. Right. And then I get bitter and angry sometimes about the things I have to do that take away from it. Right. I felt happier coming here to do this because I'm like, oh, because for the last 4 years, I'm like, well, what would Zebrana Bastard do? Well, she would get on a fucking plane and go to California. Right. She wouldn't hesitate. And not that she is any different than me, because it's just an extension of myself that's a little bit more jump in the fire, I guess, than I tend to be these days. But being in the moment is what it's all about. Like this right now, we are living in the moment. There's nothing scripted. There's nothing really set plan. This is just whatever happens. And the same thing happens being on the road. When I tour, I don't know what the fuck's around the next corner. My van could break down. I could be changing out the alternator for the 4th time on the side of the fucking highway, which I've done, or whatever million possible things can possibly break down on a vehicle that you just drive to shit going back and forth across the country. There's all these different elements that there's so many unknowns that you are forced to live in the moment. Right. You're forced to listen and pay attention to what's going on around you at that moment because nothing else fucking matters. Right. And I think that being creative makes people live in the moment more so than any other time because you're creating, so you're building something new and interesting
out of nothing.
Yeah, you are.
Out of nothing. And yet people don't put monetary value on it. It literally is coming from your brain. This right now, this podcast is coming from my brain and your brain. Yeah. And my work and your fucking flight It's coming. This is a lot of everything out of our days. And not just that, but our whole lives. I mean, I'm not saying has been leading to this moment, but literally, I mean, for not just it has been. And yet, monetarily, it's just too much to, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm a part of many streaming services. You know what I mean? Like, I don't put value enough on that art, which is good in one way because it lets real shit sink to the bottom in a good way where, like, people realize, okay, yeah, Nicki Minaj is bubblegum, but, like, you know, MF Doom or Busta Rhymes, you're like, okay, now that's real. Like, and people can differentiate. Even though there's all this bubblegum up here, there's the real food down here. There's the steak, there's mashed potatoes, there's whatever. There's moose, right?
Yeah. Love me some moose.
I really want to taste moose now.
I do too.
Just the snout. I just want to slice off the nose. Just like a little.
I'd rather have some backstrap, but you can have the nose. I would rather have backstrap. I
understand. Or maybe actually the horn. What is that? The antler?
You're like a chicken foot soup guy, aren't you?
I don't know what that is.
It's chicken foot soup. Exactly what it sounds like.
What's the? But like, isn't it? It is. It's good in that way, but it also is negative because it means that there are a lot of people. Okay, yeah, some of that sinks to the bottom, and a lot of people are loving, as an example, this dumb podcast. A lot of people are really loving it, but in order to keep going with it, that means I have to, and I'm not trying to fucking, whine. You know what I mean? I get to do this. I'm happy I get to do this. As I already said 2 seconds ago, doing some of this podcasting and music and stage work and all this stuff is some of the happiest I've ever been. And it does feel like I'm if you want to call it God, whatever, but I'm exactly where my soul is supposed to fucking be.
Well, that's all that matters then.
It is all that matters, but fuck. It is all that matters, but like I could literally disappear and stop doing the podcast after this episode, and a couple hundred people would be upset, and that's it, and then it would die, and then that's it.
So what's your real reason for doing it? Do you want the fame and attention, or do you want to do it because it cures your soul? Both. Okay. It looks like you want to say both.
I want to say both, but here's the thing about it. It's not just that, obviously, in my worser moments, yes, it's the goddamn fame. It's the power that comes with it. But it also is the autonomy that comes with it. The reality is that if I, Rogan was talking about it on that fucking podcast. He did news radio, and then he did Fear Factor, these shows. And then he was like, and then I didn't have to worry about money after that. And because of that lack of fear of money, he was able to be himself more on stage than he ever was. He had the freedom and the autonomy because he wasn't worried about money anymore. He could make whatever the fuck he wanted. That's my dream about the autonomy and the freedom. Okay. Is like, yes, I want the money and the connections, but I don't just want the money and the connections. If I had my druthers, I would be not alone. I would have a studio all day long, and I would just sip espresso and make music, and I could just text Beck to come over. Hey man, come on over, and him and fucking, I would have the connections and the money to just bring over Burden the Bee or whoever, like, and just make shit and put it out and whatever. Here, people have it, but I don't have that. You know what I mean? I'm not complaining about it. I've only been really trying to legit do this as a career since, I think, 2012, 2011. Yeah. So I don't get to complain for another couple of years. Well, but it's like, fuck, it's hard. It's fucking hard.
It is really hard. But, I mean, like, I've left for a tour where I toured for myself with Zebrana Bastard solo. That's just me and my acoustic bass.
The one you and I met on?
Yeah, singing my fucking heart out to anywhere from 1 to fucking... There's one time I got to play for like 1,500 people.
Right.
So there's, and it's just me. And I left for one of my tours. I had $65 on my person and a full tank of gas. And when I came back, I had $50 in my pocket. And I made it home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the connections that I made along the way, I mean, I thought I was going to, well, I did not think I was going to get stuck in Fargo, but I did
Ooh.
run out of gas money in Fargo and found an open mic place and was able to sell enough merchandise and shit to get me to my next show that I had a guarantee at.
Did you have to kill some people
in
to
Montana?
do so?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Ooh,
I would have
take care of it right here in Brainerd.
Yeah, I would have probably made it a lot farther than Montana if that had been the case.
Steve Buscemi was there.
Getting fed to a chipper. But, you know, it was amazing. You know, and every time has been amazing because it's all about that human connection.
That's legit.
Like, so
That's legit.
Ultimately, when I'm focused on money, I'm miserable. If I'm not focused on money, I'm happy. And it doesn't matter. Yeah, of course you don't want to fucking have to pay for this out of your own pocket. Of course you don't want to fucking have to work that hard. But the truth is you got to.
And it's all building to one thing. It's all building to and not just that. Not just when I'm focused on the money, I'm more miserable, but when I'm focused on a destination instead of a journey, I'm miserable, and I'm missing the whole thing. Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
you can't. And just
when I went to
focus on your destination because the destination's never going to be as cool as how you got there.
Yeah, it's fucking legit.
Well,
when I went to New York,
this is a cool destination. Let me just say that this.
See
whole
that,
trip
ladies and gentlemen?
worth it.
I'm the best podcaster on this block.
Best show I've been on so far.
Exactly. Patreon.com/conservative. This month, best podcast she's been on. But the reality is that when I went to that is a legit point because I actually went to New York a week ago.
You look so happy too. I saw the posts and just hearing your podcast you did there. That's all I'm saying. You looked very happy and seemed very happy to be out of here. So I just wanted to add that you seemed very happy.
It's really scary, man. It's really scary because I'm thinking that it's actually legit.
You should go.
It's fucking terrifying though. Nigga, it's fucking scary.
You should go.
Because the thing is that, and it was really difficult, right? And it cost a lot of money, and I didn't max out a credit card, but my credit score is rising, and then I just cashed all that shit in. But no, I went out there, and I'm like, I'm just spending all this time, just blah blah blah. But the connections, even of getting to step inside the Comedy Cellar temporarily and just be like, to watch Dave Attell or to connect with Cookie Tongue, who's a band friend of mine from out here, Omer Gal, who's please, ladies and gentlemen, I don't push a lot of music. Go watch Cookie Tongue. Go and look at YouTube. Obviously, look at Zebrana Bastard. But please look at Cookie Tongue as well. They're the weirdest fucking... So it's this little Jewy guy with a fro who has like this messy hair and like paints his face white and wears like sheets and is very into traditions and very into like ritual, like creepy ritual. And like he literally paper maches dolls and like connects like what did he say? I saw him live in Brooklyn and he put one of those things, a theremin, I think it is.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I have one.
And it was a doll. He paper mache'd a theremin into a doll and like was created and was like, and he's got this girl, fucking awesome lady who's with him, and she's got white paint all over her, and she's like dancing in the crowd and creeping people out. It's so much fucking fun.
That sounds amazing.
You have to, and they scream at times and shake at people, and it's terrifying. And they make little dolls and little homemade maracas out of like paper mache hands. They're fucking cool. Look them up.
That sounds really cool. What are they called?
Cookie Tongue.
Cookie Tongue.
Cookie Tongue.
I will have to check that out.
But like what I love about them is the commitment. You know what I mean? Like the complication of the music, it doesn't really matter. The commitment to what they're doing, whether it's a show or it's like they're actually into the creepy rituals. Yeah. Either way, I'm all on board. And I was excited. I was the only guy in a Brooklyn, tiny little club. I'm just like, and I knew them from when they were out here, and we used to do shows together and stuff. So they're my peers, but I actually liked them. So I got to cultivate that connection. Mm-hmm. I got to cultivate the connection with Karina, who's a singer who does hip hop out there, and I also got to cultivate a connection with with Invalids. You ever heard the band Invalids? Anyway, Great band, and And it was like, you know, it is the connection. It was the weird little stories of like, you know, getting to see my family and getting to. It was
that
like
your parents that you took that picture with?
No, my grandparents.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and what's weird about this? Check this out. More godshot shit. So they actually live in Florida, but they were actually coming up before I even booked that trip.
So they didn't even. You guys didn't know that you guys were going to be there at the same time.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which just says you should go.
Thinking about it. It's heavy, man.
You know,
it's scary, but it's heavy.
Not that I am an expert at advice, but
if I go to New York, you are adopting a fucking mud girl. I'm telling you that.
I have to say that you have to facilitate a jumping off point at some point.
Nice. Don't fucking.
No, because
I agree
serious.
with that. I agree with that.
So
I'm on board with that.
I told you when we talked on the phone the other day that I had, you know, that this whole way that this came about the last 2 weeks since you gave me a date, and when I told you, you know, fuck it, let's not wait till I tour. I just want to let's just do it now. Mm-hmm. You know, when you asked me about, you know, coming on your show sometime. Mm-hmm. So it was weird because I've been really frustrated. Construction is not my end all to be all.
Really?
You know, it's what got me through my divorce. It's what got me a foundation. It's what taught me responsibility and that I can stay in the same place without going completely crazy. Mm-hmm. But it's not my heart. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and so I've been like really frustrated. I've been feeling stuck. And I had this conversation with, he's a quality control manager for the General on the site that I'm working on right now. It was so random. Like I was working on a weekend and I was doing pump watch, which is like every hour you got to make sure all the pumps are pumping water out of the places they're not supposed to be into where they are supposed to be. Mm. So it's a whole lot of stupid money for a whole lot of nothing that you're doing. I met this guy for the first time, and the head superintendent was like, "Oh, I accidentally mentioned that I did music because I don't really tell people."
Okay.
And then he was like, "Oh, you should meet so-and-so because he's a musician too." And I'm like, "Yeah, great. Okay, whatever."
Right.
Well, then he shows up and he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's the guy I was telling you about. You should talk music." And we both just kind of looked at each other and looked at him like...
Right. I hate it when people do that
shit.
Although it has worked out a couple of times.
It's like, "Oh, you're a girl. You two should talk." It's it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Well, we wound up at one point being by ourselves, and he was wearing a shirt that basically was like a flashing light saying, "Hey, I play drums," you know. So I was like, "Oh, so you're a drummer," you know. And we started talking, and we actually wound up talking for like an hour. Mm-hmm. And I actually wound up like pouring my heart out. Like I almost cried. Like I didn't even mean to, but I was like saying, "Well, I hate my job. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not happy. Mm-hmm. I miss music. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do this, you know." And I was like, I feel stuck. And he was like, "You know, people always think that it always has to be one or the other. Because all my life doing music and art, I was fully dedicated to my craft. And if the job didn't fit, I quit in a heartbeat. Didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Because art came first." Well, art came first, and I lost a lot of connections with friends and family that really mattered to me, you know? And so he's like, "You know, people always think it's one or the other. You have to have a career or you have to have music." He's like, "But the truth is, you can be successful at both." Mm-hmm. And what opened up the conversation, I said, "Well, how do you achieve balance? You know, like I really want balance. How do you achieve balance?" He looks at me and goes, "You don't achieve balance. You never achieve balance. You maintain balance. You do what you know you need to do to maintain balance." And he told me how, like, you know, when he goes on business trips, because he's kind of high up in his company, and when he goes business trips and the guys want to go out drinking, he'll see like a piano at this place, and he'll be like, "No, it's okay, you guys go on." And he'll go and he'll sit and he'll play for like a half hour to an hour because he's dedicated to his passion, which his passion is music. So he's a father. He has this manager position. He is a dedicated musician. He says like his birthday every year, he'll just rent a studio for a day and get all the musicians that he knows that'll come out to just play together and make music. Right. And that's what they do. And he's got to tour and he's got to do these things and do all these things and, you know, kind of grow up with that. But he also has a successful career. And so I started thinking about that. And when it was all said and done, I said, look, man, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to like drop my soul on you here. Like, that's totally not me. You know, and there's some things I'm really going to have to think about and really let sink in, you know, and before I leave here. And one of the things he said too was that he goes, like one time, so I was offered this opportunity to go to Japan and play with these people for 3 weeks. And so I was like, okay. So I had an opportunity. He goes, when you have an opportunity, you take it. And he says, that doesn't mean you fuck off your responsibilities. He's like, I still have my position. So, you know, I made sure that everything was lined out of what should be taken care of with those 3 weeks. I told everybody in the office I would not be there, that I would not be in contact. And I made sure that all my duties were taken care of. And I knew one of two things would happen. And I accepted those consequences. So either I go to Japan, and when I come back, I'm fired, which means I have to find a new job, or I go back to work and everything's fine. But I'm still going.
Right.
So that was 3 days after you had mentioned to me, hey, I'd really like to have you on my podcast at some point. Or, you know, whatever. And that's why I contacted you. And I was like, you know what? When do you want to do this? Because I've been saying no for the last 4 years. You know, I've been so wrapped up in having this broken heart and having my life turned upside down and blah, 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 blah. It's natural process and order of things. I had to figure out who I really am before moving forward. But it's like all these opportunities, like I still been offered shows. I've had people ask me to come play bass for them and go tour with them. I've had people ask me to be their tour manager. I've had people to ask me to be their merch girl or their driver or this or that because they know that I'm good. I had a band that was like, hey, will you be our booking manager? And I tried to do it and I was too busy and I couldn't focus. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys, I can't. I'm not ready, you know? And the thing is, though, is like now I'm ready and I felt stuck. But the thing is, this opportunity hasn't stopped. I just got so used to saying, no, I'm not ready, that I didn't know when I was ready. So that's why I said the weird thing about this whole, like, coming down here and you're, like, telling me, oh, you don't have to come down for my show. Like, first of all, fuck that. I hate it when you say shit like that. Like, I hate when you say that because this is important to you. This is your show. This is important to you.
Oh, God.
And this is something you need to thrive and to live and to be the best you that you can be.
Yes, this is true.
So as a person who supports art and is an artist, for me, it's not a huge deal to come down here and to support your dream as you're also supporting my dreams. You know, that's how we met.
Right.
You know, we met playing a show together that we were both booked on the same bill.
Right.
You know, so all of this coincides, you know, that's why I'm saying fucking go. The whole point of this is go to New York because you really want to. You're just waiting to give yourself permission to say, yeah, it's okay to go. It's going to be scary. Shit's going to happen. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I said, okay, I'm going to go be on Peter's podcast. I also said, well, if I'm making this much fucking money and I really want to retire by the time I'm 40, I'm going to do something right. And so now I'm paying a really badass chick to write my business plan for this business idea I've been having for like the last year and a half that will be successful.
Nice.
You know, I finally started putting my heart back into music, you know, and my band, taking my band very seriously now, as far as like not like, oh, we're a serious metal band, but like I'm putting work into it. I'm putting my heart into it. I'm writing lyrics. I'm, you know, I'm encouraging, I'm being a participating member of the band instead of just showing up and hanging out. Because for the first year, we're kind of like a hangout session. Because learning how to be social again. But I want to do things again. So, you know, and I just said yes to, my friend hit me up and he goes, hey, I want to do an art show in March next year and have a collaboration between artists that want to do art and music. And I was like, yep. I was like, okay, I'm not ready. I don't feel like I'm ready. But it's not like I don't know how to do this. I've been doing music all my fucking life. I've been doing art all my life.
There's a piece of that, I think, that goes to the spiritual end of it, which is tough shit. You know what I mean? Like, if I actually want to do this, this is my only life. This is yours. Yeah. This is it. This is
what we're doing right now is our real selves.
Right.
This is the heart of our true selves right here.
Right. God, that's corny, but it's true.
Yeah, it is. But it's very true. Like, this right here, This is the heart of me. This is the heart of you.
Right.
We are doing what we need to connect with another human being.
Right.
Right now, it happens to be a podcast. Maybe next time it'll be on stage or a comedy show or who the fuck knows what.
Right.
But it's being creative and tapping into creative energy to be like, hey, I see you. You're a human being. Mm-hmm. Let's make magic.
Right.
Essentially.
Right.
You know? There's no bullshit here. I mean, there's bullshit, but there's no bullshit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
So.
You okay on time? You okay on sleep? Do you want to start wrapping up or?
Whatever you want to do.
All right, I would like to keep going. We're at 2 hours right now so far. I need to urine. So
I
would like to make.
You have to take a piss? Do you have to take a piss?
Please don't be vulgar, ma'am. Yeah, let's if you're down to keep going for a little bit, even if it's okay.
It doesn't matter. I have nowhere to be till 6:30 when.
Yeah, but I don't want to keep you from sleeping.
Oh, I don't think anybody has the patience to listen to this till 6:30.
All right,
that's a long time.
Let's pause it real quick and then we'll come back.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Well, usually I'm allergic to like the cheap metal shit.
Right.
And it turns my finger green or gray, and it hasn't.
But you chose to do it anyway.
Yeah, because I wanted to wear it and see.
This seems like a silly goose thing to do. Hang on. Recording with Zebrana Bastard. Sabrina? You're not Sabrina.
I am not Zebrina the teenage bitch. I'm good.
All right, here we go.
I actually had somebody introduce me that as Zebrana Bastard when they introduced me on stage, and I was just like, man, that's not even cool.
All right.
I was like, it's like Zebra and Anna. Zebrana.
Right.
Zebra and Anna. Zebrana. There's no I in Zebrana.
There's no I in Zebrana. Mad girl will drink the Fanta. Oh, orange soda.
Don't you want the Fanta? Yes, I want the Fanta. You never saw that commercial?
All right, you're gonna need to. Do we need to take a break? Is that what we need to do?
Did you never see that commercial?
Of course, I saw it.
I love that commercial.
All right, you're in public right now, right? You're being recorded.
Oh, do I need to make a mud pie? Don't let anybody see. Shh. The boys might not like me. I spit and I cuss and I say shit and fuck and piss and.
All right, you said multiple things already. You said, what did you say? You said shit, fuck, piss, cunt.
Motherfucker.
You know what part of it is too? I guess it's the fear, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not my fault. I think it's just life. But I'm still in the process, and maybe it's because that's where all that weird self-deprecation thing. And I've talked about it on the episodes before.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at it, I think. But the self-deprecation thing is still a weird thing for me because it's I'm letting go of the idea of not being enough. Ain't that some? But I see. I have heard people. Well, not a good enough artist, or not a good enough this, or in a podcast.
There's an audience for everyone.
Yeah, but some people who are insecure about that are actually shitty.
But what does it matter?
Sorry.
Dude, okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if there's an artist, if there's an audience for that shittiness.
There is an audience for everything. How do you think Weird Al became popular?
Hang on a second. Weird Al is the shit, dude. Okay. Weird Al, his original music is very good.
There is a guy, and this is when I realized that there is an audience for everyone, and it doesn't matter how shitty I am. Like, you don't have to get it. You, like, anybody out there, if you listen to me and you think that I shouldn't be playing at a metal show, great, good for you. That's your opinion. Happy for you. I'm still gonna do it, you know. But there's this guy that plays on New York subways with a little boombox. I don't know if you ever saw the videos, and he makes up these silly raps about the people he sees on the subways, and some of them are pretty fucking funny.
Right.
But it's horrible. He can't sing for shit. I mean, it's absolutely terrible, but it's so terrible it's good. And his video, I mean, back when I first saw that, his video had like tens of thousands of hits.
Right.
You know? And so I realized and he had an album for sale and it was selling, and I was like, God damn it. There is an audience for everyone.
Yeah, I can hear that.
It doesn't matter. You know, and it's pushing that out of your head of like, well, I'm not good enough, or maybe I won't succeed, or, you know, I'm not gonna fuck, blah 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 blah. You know.
Well, I mean, that's why I talked about it with you before recording. Is that That's why I was thinking of smoking the other day. It's because it's so much easier to just...
crack is bad for you.
Fucking... I just want to put the covers over it. I mean, that's what alcohol and drugs were for me. That's what cigarettes were. That's what food can sometimes be. Just put the fucking covers... Enough. You know, I've done enough goddamn growth. You know what I've done? I've done enough. Enough. That's the second time I've said enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but it's just interesting to me.
Well, the thing is, too, regardless of your fear or whatever, the thing is that New York's not the end all to be all either. Like, who's to say that, you know, you could go to New York and fucking hate it. Or you could go to New York and you could love it. Or you could go to New York and be like, you know what? It's not for me. But at least you went and saw. You know, at least you tried.
Right.
You already know what's in San Francisco. You've been here for how long?
2012.
Okay. So that's what, 6 years?
Yeah.
So you got here the year I met you.
Right.
So I met you when you were first in San Francisco, when I went on tour.
Still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're definitely a lot more. But I mean, that could be just playing a show too, because there's a different energy when people play shows than there is when it's like.
Wait, how was I? Was I positive?
You were very flamboyant.
No, god damn it! Did you think I was gay too?
I did.
God damn it!
I totally thought you were gay.
I swear to God, I can't. Every woman I've met before 2013 was like, "I thought you were gay."
I didn't judge you for it though. It's okay.
Of course, no, not judge me for it.
I did. I thought you were gay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I wonder how many times I wasn't feeling a vibe, and that was the reason why. I could have fucked so much more. All right. Not that I'm, like, haven't been fucking, but I'm just saying. All right. So.
But I mean, ultimately, all I'm saying is the worst that could happen is that you go out there and it sucks.
Right.
You know? I mean, is it going to suck any less or any, you know, more than being here? You don't know. You don't know till you go.
And over, that's been the thought when I've been bantying this about in my head. Yes, I'm eating on the podcast. I've had this idea of like, okay, should I go? You know, this sucks about New York. This sucks about New York. And I'm like, okay, well, what's my other option? I love boiling everything down to what's my other option. Because my other option, creepy ass Google turning on, my other option is staying in San Francisco. Nope. And immediately, so I already know
why
when
is that your only other option, though? You could go anywhere.
It's not my only other option.
You could go anywhere
that's
the
my
fuck
number
you
two.
want to
Of
go.
course, but that's my number 2 option.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, no.
So that's your shit option, is what you're saying. Number 2, that's my shit option.
Right.
Like I could pee and feel great, or I could just sit and shit. Number 1, number 2.
All right. Your analogies need a little work.
Probably.
But at least you have your fun. So.
It's still your shit option if it's your number 2 option. It's your shit option, just saying.
You always take it back to mud. But what I'm saying is like, so I already know that side of the equation is like, I don't think I want to stay here. But I also can't think of anywhere else I'd rather go than New York. So it's like, all right, well then I guess that's the option. Or that's the answer.
I mean, like, I lived in Florida for 6 months.
Why would you do something awful like that?
Right? Why? That's why I don't
Where in the fuck?
Orlando.
Did you? Oh no! That's even worse.
Right?
Were you trying out for Disney World? What were you doing, girl?
Did you with my man?
Oh no! Wait, the current man?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Look at the face. That's the face of someone who has been to Orlando.
It is. Oh God.
Almost every show we talk shit about Florida.
I met some really cool people in Florida. But honestly, like...
And they looked at you like, oh my God, a real human.
Well, no, they were... Well, I was part of the Anti-Babes there. I joined a performance troupe called Anti-Babe.
What is this about?
It was a performance fetish fantasy troupe. So we did, like we played Las Vegas's Fetish and Fantasy Ball. We did a dance bit there. It was actually the first time I ever went on a tour, was touring with Anti-Babe. But, like, we did, like shows with like fetish menus and stuff where you do like kissing booth and whipping and stuff like that and dance on bar tops as like go-go girls. But then if you tried to touch us, it would be like fuck you and like slap you in the face type of thing.
Right.
So, but I mean,
are you saying that the slapping was part of the shtick or it's just the way you were?
Probably a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, so that was like the best part of Florida was Anti-Babe and the friends that I made from that. And there's some of those people I still talk to, you know, and, and a lot of them I'm still friends with on Facebook and stuff. But in
general, Florida's just...
Yeah, other than that, Florida can suck my fucking dick, dude.
Right.
Like, I hated, like, the weather was miserable.
Right.
And, oh my God, those fucking hurricanes. Like, I moved there the year that Hurricane Ivan hit.
Okay.
Which was one of 5 fucking hurricanes that hit back to back to back to back. And I'm like, and then like I've got my friend who's
God's been trying to wipe that fucking place off the map for a long time.
My friend is telling me how terrible, like she's like, you have to come to the hurricane party because I'm so scared for you being in those apartments that you live in because I've seen them just flattened. Yeah, I've seen apartment buildings like that just flattened when a hurricane comes through. And so a hurricane party is, so people in Florida, because they're used to it happening all the time, and why they haven't moved, I don't fucking understand. Right. But they will get together at someone's house and watch movies until the lights go out and drink fucking whatever it is they drink. Our drink of choice was a lot of vodka, screwdrivers, and wine, you know. But so you just hang out, and then when the hurricane comes and blows your fucking power out, then everybody lights candles and hangs out, and you're together for this horrible traumatic experience of, am I going to lose the fucking house or not? But at least you're there with all your friends. And hurricane parties are fun. But do you know how many states don't have fucking hurricanes? Give me my volcanoes and my earthquakes any day. I'm a Northwest girl. Right. Plus there's like...
There's only been like one. Mount St. Helens was a long fucking time ago. There's no goddamn volcanoes.
Well, there's Mount Rainier is an active volcano.
Okay, but it's not.
And it's in my backyard.
It's not erupting.
It's okay. It's active.
It's active, but is it gonna fucking bust?
Who knows?
Oh, all right.
Oh, dude, there's people that come and sell like not hurricane. They sell like they come and do talks about like being prepared in case. Like I'm kind of lucky. Like if the mountain goes, because Mount Rainier is my backyard, but if the mountain goes, I don't live in the valley. So hopefully the lava will just kind of go around my town if I happen to be home.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then
that's preparedness.
It'll go burn Puyallup.
Hopefully
It'll burn Puyallup to the ground.
Oh, Puyallup, yeah. I forgot about a lot of that Northwest shit. I went when I was in that awful relationship, I went to, that's why I know what Renton is. Because I lived there too. I lived in Portland, and we were like, oh yeah, let's go to Seattle. So we stayed in Renton, where they invented fucking cottonwood. That motherfucking cottonwood, it can be a motherfucker.
Oh, dude, if you have allergies, oh my God, it's bad.
We're giving you a lot of love in this episode, by the way. We are shitting on Florida. We're giving the Northwest a lot of love. Everyone in the Northwest who's listening, we have a lot of listeners in Washington and Oregon. Oregon, for some reason. Because I know a bunch of people, I know like one person in Portland. She's not doing all of those fucking listens. Anyway, so it's getting beyond my reach. Yay. But we're giving you a lot of love. I hope you understand. Only the people in the Northwest are like, I know what cottonwood is. So.
Except for those damn California transplants.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so you don't like Florida. Nobody does.
No.
I hate this damn thing I'm eating because it's too much food and I don't have a bar.
Don't fucking eat it. Here, give it to me.
It's timing.
Do I need to slap you?
I've been up very late. Hang on. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's my question. So, before all of this, because I think it is interesting to talk to you about dancing, if you're open to dancing.
Yeah, that's fine. We can go there.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay, well, actually, so here's the deal.
Yes, ma'am.
I fell in love with GWAR as a teenager.
Okay.
And Slyminster Hyman, Daniel Stampy.
By the way, Alex from the episode, the one who missed out on Bowie, huge GWAR fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, the tattoo on my neck, it's from a GWAR comic book. So is he that big of a GWAR fan?
All right, I'm not comparing, Princess. I'm just saying he is.
I'm just saying.
You could go, I know somebody who has sat in that seat.
I have a tattoo from a GWAR comic book. That's how much of a fucking GWAR fan I am.
Forgive you for what you're doing right now.
OD'd on my fucking birthday. Worst birthday ever. God damn it.
Now, you fell in love.
I fell in love with Daniel Stampy. Because she was like...
Who is that?
That's Slyminster Hyman. She was the girl from GWAR in the early days when they first started.
Oh, because there's a girl singer now.
Yeah, but that's because
Yeah,
he's gone. So yeah, like she was just like, she was so cool. Like I was this girl that came from this like small town because I grew up in Salem, and there's nothing to do and there's nothing cool and everything fucking sucks and all the girls are stupid and I fucking hate it.
No mud throwers
and
bunch
so
of bitches.
I just hang out with a bunch of punk rock boys because the girls are dumb and I just don't get along with anybody and it was so weird. And then I saw Skullhead Face, my buddy Ethan. He played for me Skullhead Face. He's like, Becca, you gotta see this. You gotta see this. I was like, what is it? Because it's fucking GWAR, dude. It's fucking awesome. You gotta check it out. And all my friends are like, yeah, you gotta see it. Gotta see it. So I watched this GWAR video called Skullhead Face, which has Jello Biafra in it from Dead Kennedys. And it's just fucking, it's so over the top great. You know, but Slimenstra was like, this empowered, like she's like this empowered woman and the men are her slaves and blah blah blah. She was just great. And she wore these spikes and she's like, and I just loved her. And I wanted to be not her, but I wanted to do what she did. I wanted to perform with bands. I wanted to be this strong, independent woman. And I was like this fucking...
What was she performing?
Oh, she does like, she eats fire. She's like, she works at like Coney Island and does like 20,000 volts of whatever electricity.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't a musician.
Well, she sang for some of the songs and stuff, but she did like all kinds of crazy tricks and things. Right. She was a performer with the band. And I mean, she also made like the costumes and did all this other stuff. I mean, she's a very underrated person. Like she's super talented.
Cool.
I actually got to tell her that once in an email, and she was really appreciative of it. I found a way to get a hold of her once upon a time, but I was like, yeah, she was the inspiration that led me to becoming an exotic dancer. Okay. Because I really, really, really wanted to perform with a band, but I had zero confidence. And like, I was like, well, what's the best way? And this is something I've always done. Like, if there's something I really want to do, then it's just into the fire. Like, what is the best way to get me over my fucking issue so I can do this?
Right.
And I was like, well, if I don't have any confidence, what better to get me over this shit than to be naked in front of a bunch of strangers? Mm-hmm. You know, and plus there's like pole tricks and all the shit you can learn and do.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
And the Northwest is a lot of them.
Yeah, especially Portland.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to become an exotic dancer so I can get over this whole confidence thing of like being afraid to perform in front of people. Right. I mean, like I had sang on stage and stuff as a kid, but I'd always get nervous, you know. And...
Oh, okay, so you didn't actually perform during this time. You weren't performing during this time.
Well, I was playing music, but like I had my first band, but I get weird. I mean, I was 14 when I had my first band, and I get weird. You know, I cry and like leave stage and come back to play a song. Like it was pretty pathetic.
It's not very metal of you, Becca.
Well, it was a Christian punk band. God damn it, it wasn't metal.
That's true. Maybe you were just feeling the spirit. Mm-hmm. You just loved the Lord so much you needed to...
I was having to get so emotional. No, I would get so... I had stage fright so fucking bad. Like, I look out at people, and as soon as I caught eyes with somebody, I was like...
Right.
And I'd freeze, and like, my band would sit there and play the song, and then like, they'd look at me, and they'd play the song again where I'm supposed to come in, and they're like, Becca! And I'm like... Ah! And I'd fucking run off stage. And then I'd leave, and I'd come back, and I'd pray, and I'd play the show. It's really
so cute. That's
Early days.
All right, so you were 14 then. When did you stop playing music? Or when did you take a break, I guess?
Well, I was so crushed when my first band broke up that I didn't think I'd ever have another band again.
Of course not.
You know.
Same thing with relationships.
Until, and then I just did performance art with bands. But to get to that point was, I became an exotic dancer to get over my fear.
Okay.
I wanted to, so I would I was a bad exotic dancer. And not bad, ooh, you're a bad girl. I didn't make good money at it. I scared my clients. I was clumsy. I had this wig that would fall off because nobody likes a bald girl.
No.
I was horrible.
Okay, you were in Portland though, right?
No.
Where were you at?
I was in Washington.
They don't like bald girls? Portland, I guarantee. I saw a bitch with a fucking one of those spiky, huge at Union Jacks. Huge.
But I started dancing at 19.
Okay.
And which in Washington you can do because there's no liquor. You can start at 18 in Washington.
Whoa.
In Portland you have to be 21.
Okay.
Unless, well, there's a couple of titty bars that are 18 and over, like Jiggles. I don't think Jiggles exists anymore though.
Okay.
But yeah. So I started dancing at Tacoma Deja Vu.
Okay.
Is where I started. And I started as a waitress, but like I really just wanted to get over my insecurities.
Right.
That's why I started dancing.
Right.
And I said, when I started, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this 3 years, and I want to be performing with a band within that time.
That's quite a goal. I mean, and a time frame for that too. So, did you have visions of what you would like it to look like? Because it sounds like this girl was not just an exotic dancer or that version. She was also, a high fly. She had parlor tricks and illusions.
Well,
and,
I
all this.
don't think Slim Instra or Daniel Stampy, I don't think she was an exotic dancer. I think because GWAR was like an art project. They all started at college, so like this crazy little art band thing with all these weird ideas they had that they built from. And so I don't think that she was an exotic dancer. I mean, I think that she just worked with the band and just did. She's a performer, because I mean, she does like Coney Island. She does this crazy girly burlesque thing now. She does like yard art. I mean, I haven't followed her for a while now, but I used to like watch like what's she doing now? Where's she at? And so I know that she showed up doing her she did, I don't remember if it's Electra. She got some new name where she does the voltage thing where she sends like actual electricity through her body, which is really cool. But like she did that at Dave Brocky's funeral. Like when they had his wake for the barbecue in West Virginia. I really wish I could have been there for that. I think it would have been awesome. But like she was performing there, even though she hasn't been with the new version of GWAR since he died, but, yeah, I don't think she was an exotic dancer. For me, it was just, I felt that to get to that point, I had to be an exotic dancer to get over my fear of performing.
Right. Okay.
And to learn, because I was like, well, I can try out things here. Like, I would do this thing where I'd run out on stage in like 7-inch fucking thigh highs and jump as high as I could and land on my knees to go, bam, and just like boom, and like because the stage is fucking rattle, and like the girls are like, oh, girl, you are gonna damage your knees, and they were right.
Yeah, I know, right?
They were right.
Yeah, no, that's legit.
Yeah, but they would be like, you can't be doing that. It scares the customers, But I wanted to scare the customers because that was like I envisioned when I went on stage at the at Deja Vu, in my mind, I was preparing to do crazy shit on stage with a band.
I see.
That was my end goal.
Okay.
So like, from that I got to be, I was the bitch of hate for a while with this band from Tacoma called the Church of Hate. And I was totally in love with that band and was with them for like a year. And then I got to be... What
was your job there?
Just the bitch of hate was I just did performance art. I ran around fucking spitting blood out of my mouth and fucking whatever.
Fake blood tastes weird.
Yeah, it does. Like I did, I had a guy would pierce me on stage, like multiple body piercings. I did like a thing, which actually really fucking hurt. But
really,
there's one. Well, not the piercing, but I did this.
Taking it out.
I was covered in liquid latex, and I didn't shave my body first.
Oh no, girl.
And there's pictures of me from this show, and I am screaming and it is real because this other girl that was with me is ripping the liquid latex off me, and it's ripping my hairs out, and it's catching these piercings that he just did, these surface piercings.
Jesus, girl.
And I'm just like, but I just go with it because I'm in the moment and I'm performing, but oh my God, that shit fucking hurt. Not the piercings themselves, but the ripping of the liquid latex and the catching on the fucking piercings. It was it hurt. It fucking hurt.
But that's what I go when I talked about Cookie Tongue, or there's this guy, I can't remember his goddamn name. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I only saw him perform once, but he performed at Tourette's Without Regrets, and he literally would just staple shit to himself like live, and that's commitment. God bless you. Even if you don't like that sort of thing, you gotta respect the commitment to that.
Oh yeah,
you know
I've got
I mean?
friends that'll walk around with a staple gun as part of a sideshow act and be like, "Hey, you want to staple a dollar bill to me?" You know, and it's like depending on how much it is, they can staple it to a certain body part. Like, I think he had like somebody wanted to staple $20 to his dick,
right?
And he did it. You know, so ouch. You know,
is there a? I'm sure to those guys, was there a piece of you that was masochistic regarding it?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, back then, because I was still drinking and I hated myself, you know.
But I mean masochistic in a fun way.
Part of it. I mean, I guess, yeah, in a fun way, but I don't know. As I've calmed down, I don't desire to do crazy, violent things to myself anymore.
But do you like that, like the sensations? Like, you know, I'm not saying like the level of like a pain slut necessarily, but like, you know, there's a lot of women who enjoy pain.
I think there's a time and a place for everything. I said, then yes. Then I did. But now I don't want to be hurt. Like, I don't even have you know, the only piercings I have left are the 3, you know, in my ears and my nipple piercings. Everything else is gone. I used to have like 21 piercings.
Interesting.
So like, I just, I found that the more not saying this is for everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody's story is different. But the more I love myself, the less I want to hurt myself.
Okay.
And so I'm not into excessive violence or pain or, you know, like I actually, like me and my man have a really loving, caring relationship.
Sure.
And I love it. You know, like
no, and there's
awesome.
A lot of people, like you're saying, like everybody's different. There's a lot of people who have very loving relationships and love themselves, but sexually anyway.
Oh yeah,
like some nasty ass fucking dirty pain,
oh yeah,
you know, pain or whatever. So I was just asking if that was a piece of it.
No, at the time, yes, but now not so much.
Okay,
you know,
because maybe there was an emotional element to that because you were so down on yourself.
Well, and I love being on stage and I love performing, and I can't say. When I go on stage, I have no idea what the fuck's going to happen.
Right.
Like, so I've got, you know, my new metal band. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen when I go on stage. Because this is my first time being able to really be myself and tackle the stage without a bass. Without having to perform. Like, I have the microphone. And I can do whatever the fuck I want. And I love to run around in the crowd.
Favorite thing
and I love to climb on shit. And I love to jump off drums.
It's my favorite
Actually,
thing in the
almost
world.
knocked myself out at practice trying to jump off the drums to see if if her drum kit would hold me. And I didn't think about the low ceiling.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know what's going to happen when I go on stage. I never do, and I never have. I've never planned it. I have some ideas. It's like, okay, here's some of my go-tos if I don't know what to do. But for the most part, when I go on stage, it's all bets are off. There's no rules.
I was a part of an 80s band for a couple of years. Great guys, Vinyl Replay. And one of the things that I would do is, like, that was my role. There are 3 main singers, 2 pretty girls who are very good singers, and me. And my role was, and I'm a good singer, and my role was, all right, I'm jumping out into the crowd, and I'm fucking, you know, getting in people's faces and jumping on tables and chairs.
Man.
And
Yeah,
the people,
it.
you know, because I already know, like, even with just my facial expressions, I get people's attention and I keep it. But I don't want to be tied down to a guitar. In fact, I don't give a fuck about a guitar at all. I just have my guitar because I can't just get up on stage with just a microphone and a fucking press play on something. So that's the only reason why I have a guitar.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I would rather pay somebody else to do it and have a band and just get out there and fucking sing the way I want to sing.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. And then getting out into the stage. Did you ever see, actually speaking of Mike Patton, when he did Epic, is that the name of the song? Yeah, Epic. You are now. He did that song on SNL. Did you ever see that video?
I didn't.
Go watch it. It's the shit. He literally, you know, early 90s, late 80s, you know,
like
long-haired.
when the song first came out?
Mike Patton. He, like, jumps in between the there's a solo and a bridge part, and he like climbs up into this area like next to this fan. Like no one else has done that in SNL. You don't watch that anything. You see Kanye jumping around in a fucking Pellegrino bottle or whatever the fuck. But like he literally jumps up in like as if, or Bono in some festival. Did you watch oh no, you don't have Netflix.
I have Netflix.
Oh, or no, it's HBO. Did you watch the Defiant Ones? The documentary about
You'll have to send me a watch list because I guarantee I haven't seen most of the things that you were asking me if I've seen.
Anyway, watch the Defiant Ones. It's just cool. Anyway, Bono's on, and I'm not a huge fucking YouTube fan, but like
me either.
nobody is. But like he literally jumped, climbed this scaffolding and is up on top of the stage, like 40, 50 feet in the air, like dangling, singing. Like what that's commitment. You know what I mean? And that's not just that. What I feel is like, okay, everybody, this is presence. That's what it is. Yeah. I'm present with you. Not just with this podcast, but if I'm jumping on a fucking table, okay, I'm risking myself, but I don't care. I'm like, I understand. I'm more in it for the risk that you think I am involved in. I know what I'm doing. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I know the balance of my own body, and I'm willing to hurt myself, but I'm more doing it because I like to fucking scare you. You know what I like to intrigue
in the
you.
Moment.
I like to make. You know, an old mentor used to say, like, what art is the transfer of emotion. And there's some truth to that. Well, I like to scare people. I like to weird people out.
I love interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
I love it. And, like, so I saw, I was vending at Punk Rock Bowling for 2 years in a row. I took my button business down there and was making buttons and doing custom buttons for people that came in my booth and, you know, selling buttons and stuff. And I got to see Iggy Pop. And oh my God, dude, he is so in love with his audience, and it was, he's still an incredible performer, you know. And he was like crowd surfing, and it was so great because when the show was over, he ran around, and he's got to get off stage because the next band, you know, whatever's got to come play, but he's like, he runs down around the back, and he just sits with his arms resting on the little back barricade behind the stage, and he's got his little arms up under his chin. I'm trying to describe this so the listeners can actually see what I'm doing right now.
Right.
But he just rests his chin is just resting on his hands. He kind of cocks his head, and he just looks at the audience, and he just like this childlike look in his eyes, and he's mouthing, "I love you so much. Thank you. You guys are just amazing." And he was saying that when, you know, he was in between songs and stuff, like he loves his fans. He's so in that energy. And
you can feel it too.
Oh yeah.
When you're first things first, that's why Prince does 3 fucking hours. Because he doesn't fucking have to.
He stops when he wants to.
He could play an hour and he'd still be overpaying us. But he gives us 3 hours because he loves to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other thing is that I can feel when a crowd is not ready for you either. You can feel when a crowd is like not a good crowd. Like there's something to that where everybody kind of decides, I don't want to go down the road that this artist wants me to go down. I'm not ready to go down. You know,
and I have that a lot with my solo project.
I was in a fucking crowd once, and like I said, Colin Quinn is my favorite living comedian, and I was watching him at some theater with a friend of mine in San Francisco, and it's at a theater. It's not a comedy club, so maybe that's part of it. But everyone's just like politely enjoying the comedy show, and I'm the only dumb, loud motherfucker clapping and laughing. You know what I mean? Because I'm ready. Yay, Colin! I'm ready. Here we go. You know what I mean? And I felt like I was the only motherfucking person out there. I mean, my friend Brandon was there, but like everybody else is like, what the fuck, man? You're not even here. You don't give. You're not giving him what he needs. Give him what he needs. I turn on even more when I notice that people are actually giving a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And then we feed each other.
Yeah,
that's
it's the
what
energy.
We do.
It's the vibe. I mean, like, regardless of what I'm doing, you know, when I'm on stage, you're still getting all of me. But when the energy is feeding you more, then that all of me grows. You know, so of course. Of course.
Have there been times where, because I know that for me, sometimes I'm going through my own shit, or I'm sometimes I don't give it all. And I'm concerned when that happens. Like, I've had a couple of times where it turns around, but I've also had a couple of times where I'm like, I'm having a great show. Actually, you know what? In the longer shows, this is what happens. The first hour, like I'm like, I have expectations of myself, or I have expectations of them, and then the last hour is great. Especially the last half hour, people are all, even if I'm doing a cover show, like I am tomorrow at Amelie Wine Bar, even if I'm doing a cover show, people are like there with me, and I'm like singing the songs towards the end. I have all the energy, and I'm just fucking giving it to them, and I'm just fucking their mouths. I'm just take it, bitch, and like and they're having fun. But like that first hour, for some reason, it's almost like a fucking warm up hour, and it's not intentional. It certainly isn't. But like, you know what it is probably too. I think I'm just. That's part of the reason why I need to get the fuck out of here. It's not like I won't play covers in New York. It's not like I won't, but like.
Are you over covering?
I'm fucking sick of covers. But I have to make money. I have to make money. I'm sorry, but especially my shit, I am vulgar as a motherfucker. And some places call for it, and some places don't. Duvin Wine Bar, where I'm playing at the day after this comes out, or 2 days after this comes out, Saturday, November 24th. This is going to come out on Thanksgiving? Should I do that?
Is this a Thursday show?
Yeah.
You should do whatever the fuck you want. If that's when it's scheduled, that's when it's scheduled.
Yeah, all right, fine. See how nice I am to you fucking cocksuckers? No, I'll put it out. It's no skin off my back, but I'm wondering, maybe I shouldn't because people won't listen to it. Whatever.
Well, I didn't realize it was a live podcast that they could only listen to on that one day, and then it just, poof, disappears.
All right. You see what I'm saying? Do you understand
I'm a dick.
What I have to deal with here? Fucking, I'm going to make you find some mud. All right, now listen. But
you want to make mud pies with me? Oh my god, we can get some daisies, some little rocks. That'd be so cute.
You'll finally, you had to come all the way to San Francisco to have a friend. But no, but I had where I'm playing Duvin Wine Bar. It's quiet and small enough, and people are like, they're interested in, what's playing? At Amelie Wine Bar, I love them with all my heart. Amazing. They are, literally, the guy from Amelie Wine Bar, out of nowhere, just one of the servers, not even the guy who books me, one of the servers donated $50 to my GoFundMe campaign for my album. He's just like, every time you come in, we call you the voice. I'm like, you fucking love this motherfucker. Anyway, great guy. Anyway, so I some places are down for covers or for originals, but Amelie is not. Amelie's loud, and they need to hear, and I know that that's what they need.
Have you ever
food truck
toured?
Events? It makes me good money, but again,
have you ever toured?
No.
You need a tour. You need to go on the fucking road and tour.
Yeah, you're right.
And go see what.
So this album's going to be done soon. This album I've got.
You should take this album.
Maybe four more record or editing and mixing sessions, and then.
And you should tour with it.
Yeah, no, I know. My dad was saying the same thing. He's a musician, and he was telling me the same thing. He was like, "You need to get the album ready before you go to New York or before you wherever, because that way you have a product right there. Here, take it. Here, go, whatever.
Well, the thing is too is that ultimately, it's your fans that are going to carry you, and you can only get so many fans from one pond. Mm-hmm. So when you tour, you face different hardships than you do when you're safe and comfy and you can go back to your home and go to sleep and go work your waiter job, and you can go do all these things that are safe and keep you okay, and you don't have to worry because you know that you're going to have that solid income coming from your outside jobs. Right. But when you go on the road, you really find out what you're made of. And
I think there's something to be said for, who was, I think actually my dad. I really love my dad. You know what? He's going to I'm going to make his ass come on the podcast.
You should.
He's a great guy. Anyway. Great musician too. Anyway. So I think, one of the things he said, because we talked about, we had a decompression conversation, hour long about New York and stuff, because he's from New York and because he's been a musician in New York and a musician out here, and he's, a real ass working musician. And not that I'm not, but you know what I'm saying. And he's been doing it for like 40 fucking years. So one of the things he said is that what was helpful about, and again, it doesn't matter the details about the politics of this. He said what made Columbus successful, love him or hate him, what made Columbus successful was that when he came over with the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, he burned the fucking boats. Guess what, kids? This is our only option. We have to make this work. You know, so there's something about that desperation of like, okay, I don't have a cushy job. I have to make this work.
Lose your safety net. Mm-hmm. It's a do or die.
Right.
And it really, because it forces you to live in the moment. I mean, like I said, I almost got stuck in Fargo, you know?
Right. That would have been the resting place of Zebrana Bastard.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, I even had like, because I was like terrified. I was like, I am not going to be fucking stuck here. And I was talking to this guy because he's like, well, dude, if you get stuck, you can always stay on my couch, you know? Like, he's like, because he's I broke down here like, you know, I broke down and I've been here ever since. I said, how long ago was that? And he goes, 2 years ago. I was like, fuck that, dude. I'm not staying here for 2 fucking years. I'm not going to be here 24 hours. If you touched his couch,
you understand. If you touched his couch, you would be like the doldrums. Remember the Phantom Toll booth where like everything's just made of like sticky.
Oh, God.
And you would just be stuck there forever.
I can't.
I just made a Phantom Toll booth reference. Patreon.com/conservatus, you cocksuckers.
I can walk out of Fargo in less than 2 years.
Right, that's
I'm not
true.
staying.
No,
I'm
that's
not
true.
stuck.
Right.
You know?
You can still, I mean, you would need to have a gun or something, but you can hitchhike too. You will not stay.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I was like, oh, no.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is like, if you lose your safety net and you find out, like, I know, you know, I'm going to stop hiding.
Nicely done.
I know that I can live out of a backpack and tour the world with one change of outfit for 6 months or for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. You know, no problem. Like, I laugh because my man's always talking about wanting to buy new suitcases. I'm like, why? I've traveled the world with a backpack. It doesn't fucking matter. You know, like, I'm not tied to, you know, like, yeah, I love my house. And as much as I can love a possession, I guess, you know, but it's still just a house. You know, like, I love, you know, these pants, but I can always get new ones, you know? So I'm not really tied down to my belongings so much that I'm not worried about it. So if like, you know, if all it was me and my base, if that's all I had, I'd still be okay, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the definition of okay can change, but I mean, I know that okay, ultimately, of course, no matter what fucking happens, effective is another version of okay, or useful is another version. I know I can be useful in lots of different places because of my spiritual practices, but useful in the way of, you know, if I make myself homeless, I can't reach the people who need to hear my podcast or my music. You know what I mean? Well, so that's a whole nother.
Yes and no. It depends. It really depends.
I cannot think small.
Well,
I've worked way too fucking hard to go backwards.
I mean, I'm not saying go backwards.
I know,
I'm saying if you look and research how many, like, you can rely on the kindness of your fans, and I'm not saying that as like a mean thing, and you know, or like that's what you should depend upon. But the thing is that when you are giving a gift of creativity to the world, you know, and you have people that respond to that, then you accept that because you're enriching their life just as much as they're enriching your life.
I'm hoping I am. I mean, people seem to love this enough, you know.
Well, yeah. So, you know, essentially, I'm just saying, you just gotta fucking tour. If you're a musician, I don't get. I would never be happy being a hometown hero. I could never be happy,
especially in this fucking town, because there's no goddamn heroes. You're all techies from India. It's not
any town. It doesn't matter. It could be New York. It could be Seattle.
Right.
It could be fucking Podunk, fucking Iowa. It doesn't matter if you stay in the same area, sharing what you have with that area. You're gonna get sick of it at some point, or you're gonna be playing to the same 3 people for the rest of your life and thinking you're fucking king shit, which I'm sure you've seen.
Why does that fucking happen in a giant city like this? I don't understand, because I do play. I mean, I get some people out to shows, but like it's usually I'm hitting a fucking wall here. How could it be I could hit a wall? I know it's not the quality of the product that I make.
Oh,
there's something.
Somebody's fucking full of themselves.
No, I'm saying I know that I make good shit.
Yeah, you're a good musician,
right?
yeah.
And I'm a good singer, and I'm a good right.
But it takes more than just being good.
Yes, but I'm saying why? How could it be just the same people in San Francisco? And part of it is my friend from Christina from New York. She was like, well, I mean, honestly, she was having the same experience in New York or in the Bay Area, and she's not a musician, but she was like, she would invite friends out, and everybody would just come over to my house and let's just do things at my house. I want to be in my house, in my little nest. And
that's everywhere when you get to be in a bubble. That's why I don't live in anybody's bubble but my own.
But I'm saying, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's something. Why is San Francisco, like, I know it is. You're right. It's anybody's bubble. But, like, how could I be hitting a fucking wall in a giant city? It just doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
I think until you branch out and get a feel, you're not going to know that answer.
Okay.
You know, all I know is that I've watched the same hometown heroes in different states playing to the same fucking audience, doing the same shit over and over and over again, and they never grow. They never grow. You know, I mean, maybe their crowd will get bigger. They'll be a band for like 15 years, and more people will come out eventually and see them. But until they really step outside of their comfort zone and really, you know, start to play out of, you know, and it could be just as much like, so as a touring band in the Northwest, I could play 10 shows, or I could play 30 shows in a month between Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, and never play the same demographic twice. You know, just
to say it one more time.
So I could play a show. Let's see, a better way of saying that. I could play a show every day of a month between Washington, Oregon, and Idaho.
Right.
And never play the same demographic twice.
Right.
You know, and that's just a baby step of breaking out. You know, and the thing is that fans are everywhere. So, like, I've played coffee shops. I played open mic nights. I've played shows. I've played, you know, and everywhere I've sold CDs, and everywhere I've sold T-shirts.
Right, and merch has more value in places where merch and CDs, I'm sure, and from what I've heard, has more value in places that they don't have every musician every 5 seconds.
Right.
You know, where was I? Where were we at? Sacramento, I think it was. I was touring, or I went to did a show with One Word, a rapper that I've done an album with, and he and I were out there, and it was a huge crowd, and we're like, Sacramento? And the reason why is because hip hop, there's only like one hip hop show in all of Sacramento, and it's that night. So all the little hip hop heads come out to that show.
Yeah.
When you're in San Jose, or when you're in San Francisco, Oakland, you have other options, and you also have, you know, Grubhub, where you can get shit delivered directly to your house, and you have Netflix, and you just be in your own little nest.
Right.
Whereas when you have limited options, there's more value, and so you invest to go out and go to the place where they have the thing, and you have more value in whoever's giving you the thing.
If you look at like, say, like the old school punk bands like Dead Kennedys and Black Flag, you know, Misfits, all those. How did they get their start? Well, they couldn't get booked where all the big bands were getting booked. So they went and they played all the little fucking shithole towns. Anywhere that had a stage that would fucking let them play, they played. And that's how they got popular. Because they went and hit those areas. Those big bands aren't going to play those little towns where they can't fucking get to because they're too big. You know, so that's really like our godfathers, if you will, of punk rock. That, you know, they went and played all those little shithole towns. Well, it's a tried and true method. You know, like, I've gotten more love for little towns that are starving for live music than I ever have in bigger spaces. I mean, like, depending on who I play with, you know, I played with some bands where I had like a really decent sized crowd. My biggest crowd ever was in Eugene, you know. And
shout out to Sammy Warmhands, by the way, from Eugene. Have you ever heard of Sammy Warmhands?
I haven't.
Really creepy kid. I love him. He's a rapper, and he also is the front of Dead Fucking Serious, which is a punk band, and he has his own.
I think I've heard of Dead Fucking Serious.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time. Great guy. Anyway, Take 92 podcast. Go ahead and listen to it if you want. Anyway, continue.
But, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it depends on who you're playing with. It depends on the situation. But the best shows I've ever had has been, I made friends with this band, and they were stoked about my band. And it was an organic thing. And then they just encouraged their friends to come out. Like, hey, we've got this band from out of town. And they're coming to play for us. And they're really awesome. Here, listen to them. Mm-hmm. And it's just an organic growth from just being who you are. You know, like reaching out, talking to your fans, talking to people. Like most of my fans have turned into friends over the years.
Right.
You know, like I've got this friend, Brian, that lives in Boston, that I love him to pieces. So, you know, and he started out as a fan from one of my older projects, you know, and we just connected, and we've been there for each other for advice or whatever, going through hard times or whatever. And, you know, he still buys my art, and, you know, he supports everything I do. It's funny because one of my friends he's a band manager, and he's like, yeah, I was in Boston. I saw this dude wearing a Zebrana Bastard shirt. And I'm like, I bet it was Brian. I was like, hey, Brian, were you at the Front 242 show or what the fuck it was? And he's like, yeah, I totally was. I was like, knew it. I was like, yeah, my buddy saw you wearing my shirt. And he's like, oh, I love that shirt, you know? Right. So, I mean, but you, like, I really love... Do you ever read like the Seth Godin blogs? No. You really should.
I've never been into... In fact, I think your blog was the first time I've ever read a blog. That's not true. But like, well, I don't usually blog it.
Well, like Seth Godin he's a marketing guru. And he's all about like doing things differently and I think he's one of the most brilliant men alive, to be honest. Just reading the things that he writes about. And it's about connecting and creating your community. Because, like, really, all you need is 10 people. Yeah, if you have 10 people that fucking love you, you know, they're going to find 10 more people that love you. And then it's just consistency from there on out. You know, just keep putting your product, building on it, growing on it, you know, putting yourself out there. Right. And eventually, one day you're going to wake up and go, how the fuck did I get 2,000 fans? Right. You know, or, you know, how the fuck whoa, you know, or, you know, you go into a grocery store and someone's like, hey, aren't you? It's like, yeah, okay. You know, and my friends always make fun of me, like, oh, you're famous. I said, I'm a little bit famous. Not really. I'm famous I'm small town famous. It's different. Right. You know, but this is laughing in the car is that I'm an E-list celebrity. Right. You know. But I think you should tour. And I think you should go to New York. And I think that you should get the fuck out of San Francisco. Because you just got to go experience more of the world and realize things that you're only going to realize when you fucking branch out.
I'm 32. You know that, right?
Yeah. And I'm 35. And?
Yeah, right. I just wanted to throw that excuse out there just for...
Hey, man. Creed got popular when the fucking lead singer was 36, so...
Really? Oh, God.
It took him 36 years to be Creed.
It took him 36 years to be Creed. That's so sad.
36 years.
That's so sad. Wait a second. You came from a Christian band. You can't talk too much shit.
Oh my God, Creed is horrible.
Are they as bad as, what was it, Unstripped? What is it? Stereotyped? You guys just heard the news today.
Oh, my band. My band is horrible. My fucking band. Oh, stereotype.
Jay Moore was talking about doing a show with them. And the lead singer was literally warming up exactly like that. He would just be at the piano. Fucking terrifying.
Oh my God. I shit myself.
Again, you brought it back to mud. Yeah, this is a great episode.
This is the Muddy Podcast.
I really appreciate you doing. I mean, I don't. There are some fans who don't. You know, they're like, they want me to move, but they're like, we don't want you to move, but we love you, but you know, we want you to stay, but at the same time, we want you to go.
What's nice is you come back and you see them in a year, and then there'll be more of them out there because they know they're only going to get to see you one time.
And I didn't intentionally, by the way, everybody, make this, because the last episode you'll hear with Will, I talked about that also, about like, shouldn't I, and what this means, blah, blah, blah.
God, you know. Just go.
I know, but I'm saying, like,
fucking fence rider.
No, of course not, never. Only if there's a dick on it. But like, what I don't, you know, it feels weird to like talk about it, but at the same time, you know, I'm being as honest as I can, you know. And I think that people enjoy it enough. I'm really, by the way, I'm glad. So I forgot, ladies and gentlemen, I'll break the fourth wall. I actually forgot my fucking computer at my house earlier. So I had to go back and pick up my computer and bring it back because I didn't want to use the computer that was already here. It just wasn't going to work. It was weird. It's been a strange night. It's been a great night.
It's been a great day. It's been a great random day.
See,
love it.
even so, I got rid of my self-deprecation. So now I can talk about how wonderful my products are.
Yes.
And I'm all fixed. Congratulations,
Proud of you.
ladies and gentlemen. I'm the best.
Proud of you. So proud of you.
I said, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the best. Oh, so I'm actually going to be playing with at Duvin Wine Bar on Saturday, November 24th.
Go see
with
him.
Melissa Gail Klein, who's visiting a musician from Austin, Texas. She's plays the banjo like a badass.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be playing at Duvin Wine Bar in Oakland in the Montclair district between 8:30 and 11-ish. I usually people want me to keep going, so sometimes I'll play till like midnight or whatever.
Go see it.
Or I will be, go to Conservatish, or patreon.com/conservatish, share it on your interwebs, and leave us a review. And what would you like to plug?
I currently am working on a blog called carryyourselfgirl.com. It is, if you want to read about my struggles and my journey with divorce, sobriety, being a woman in the trades, and everything else that fucking is my life, and read about me blogging about it and selling my art. I will eventually have the store up, but it's called carryyourselfgirl.com because I've been carrying myself since I was 7 years old. I built my life on my own terms. And so that's really what it's about. But I have that. I also have bwbuttons.com. I make buttons, custom pinback buttons in 1 inch, 1.75 inch, and 2 1/4 inch.
Nice.
I also make keychain bottle
Size
openers,
matters.
which are awesome. And you should buy them. Buy my buttons because I hate working construction and I want to work for myself for the rest of my life.
What about music?
And
I mean, even though it's just in the temporary
on Facebook,
fetal.
We are a newborn screaming child trying to fucking figure out how to walk right now.
Go to Facebook and slap their bottom.
Go to Facebook. It's Some of Our Scars, and that's SUM. That is 4 words. Some of Our Scars.
On Facebook.
And we post, every once in a while, we'll post a live feed of us working on a song, and we sound terrible. But you know what? We're going to be awesome, and you can have that. You can be like, oh, I knew them when they fucking sucked, dude.
Right.
Like, they suck so bad, and now they're so fucking awesome. So, you can have that now if you go to Some of Our Scars on Facebook. Just saying.
I know we're in the... I did actually want to ask, even though we're in the winding down... So even though you went through the hell of divorce...
Yes.
You are now engaged.
I am.
And what's that like?
Scary and exciting at the same time.
How long were you seeing Travis before he proposed?
Well, he proposed on my birthday in Maui.
Aww.
Earlier this year, so March. And we're getting married August of next year.
Huh.
He thinks he proposed to me at 17 when he told me he would find me no matter what and marry me.
I'm backing him up, dude. I'm fucking
no,
backing up.
Damn
don't
it,
listen,
I
don't
have
listen
said
to this
that.
mud girl.
Oh, no.
Travis, we all love you. You're right.
Everybody says, great. That's just what he needs to hear.
Right.
He's like, fucking told you.
Right.
So, he's been wanting to marry me since he was like 14. So I'm finally saying yes. And I'm going to do it in August. And I'm excited. And it's going to be fun. And all of our friends that have been watching this, been waiting for this for the last 20 years are going to be there. And
waiting on this dumb mud girl to fucking wise up.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, great. Travis is just going to eat that up.
And he deserves it dealing with you. He deserves
it. Fuck you. Great. I'm like, honey, you can listen as much as you want, just not the last 10 minutes.
Exactly. Right. So even though it's scary...
It is scary. It's a new journey, but you know what? It's like, I feel like I'm going to be trapped again, but the thing is that he has been my best friend for the last 20 years.
Right.
it's different.
Right.
He listens to me, we have been building something neither one of us have ever seen or experienced our whole lives. It's like Marley and me, but real life. It is. It is what I've always wanted.
We need to get you a new analogy, but I love you for it. No, it's
you
fine.
have
It's
to
fine.
See that fucking movie before you can judge me, and not just the fucking trailer.
All right.
No, like it is a caring, nurturing relationship where we both support each other.
Right.
And it's hard, but we've gone to relationship therapy. Because we both came from fucking fucked up backgrounds.
Sure.
Where tearing each other apart is normal and natural. So we're fighting against that to build each other up and actually be a working unit. And we've been doing it for 4 years. And I hope that we can continue to do it for the rest of our lives, because I still don't believe in divorce.
Right.
And I don't want to get married to divorce. I don't want to. It takes a lot of work to be with somebody for a long time, and he's the only person who's actually put in the work that I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he really does love me, and he really does give a shit. And when he says that he's going to do whatever it takes to keep me, I feel like he means it, so as hard as it is, and as scary as it is to think, oh my God, I'm doing this again, it's not, I'm doing this again. Because in so many ways, it feels like I'm doing this for the first time, and I guess there is life after divorce. That's what I would say to people out there is don't give up on yourself and don't give up on love, because it's possible and it's there. And sometimes it's been there the whole time and you just didn't see it because you were too drunk to realize it. Woohoo, sobriety.
or playing with too much mud. That's what you're distracted with.
I love being sober. And I don't think I would have anything I have now if I wasn't sober, to say I have the clarity of mind and be present in the moment to truly appreciate what I have. Right. So I'm excited. Yes, I'm getting married again.
Very sweet.
And it's awesome.
You gonna play with fire at the show, at the wedding?
At the wedding?
Yeah.
No, we're getting married in the woods. I'm not gonna play with fire. I don't want to burn the forest down.
Did you see Mandy? Mandy's a good movie.
No.
Anyway, sorry. Mandy is the Nicolas Cage creepy harm. I'm sorry. This is I'm very tired right now.
Do you want to come to the wedding, Peter? Would you like an invite to the wedding?
No. You did.
You can come. You can come. If you want to come out to Sisters, Oregon, if you like the woods.
You know what? It's in August of next year?
Yeah, August 3rd. It's a Saturday. It's going to be awesome. It's a week-long camping trip. But they were getting married.
Well, I don't do camping, but I'll...
You don't have to. You can stay at a hotel.
Well, there's enough people in Portland that I could do a show or two, and there's some people in Seattle I owe. They've been bothering me to fucking go perform there.
There you go. There's the Fanta belch.
All right, I'll tell you what. Yes.
All right. I think we're friends now.
I don't want to play with mud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fucking amazing time.
My name is Mud.
I've seen them like 4 or 5 times. Anyway, that was the most intense mosh I've ever been in, by the way. But I'm just saying, God bless Les Claypool.
Yes, he's amazing.
I literally thought I was going to die multiple times. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
It has been a pleasure.
It has been fucking awesome. I really appreciate it. See, just I will close with this. There was my mentor said that the benefits of doing service are greatly proportional to the amount of inconvenience suffered. You've done a great service to us. The great experience in this conversation that we've had could only have happened if you came a far fucking distance.
Oh, for sure.
So I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody.